Alrighty. We told you we would be back if a new severe thunderstorm warning did get issued, and a new warning has been issued. Thus, we are back with you live here at West Michigan Weather. This is Jacob Melton. Again, live here at West Michigan Weather, just before midnight on this Monday night. And the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Lake County. This goes until 12:45 a.m. in the early Tuesday morning, and this is primarily for the potential of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. I'm going to pull up the warning text from the National Weather Service. And again, the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northern portions of Lake County in west central Michigan until 12:45 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 11:56 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located 6 miles southeast of the Dublin area, or 14 miles to the north of Baldwin, moving east at around 40 miles per hour. Primary hazards through this particular storm were 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Source on this is radar indicated. Impact hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include the Luther area, the Irons area, Bristol, and the Sauble Lakes community. If you're in any of these areas I just highlighted, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. So again, we do have this severe thunderstorm warning in this orange polygon here that is including the Peacock and Luther areas. This is going until 12:45 a.m. on this now going into early Tuesday morning. And again, this is primarily for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Taking a look at Doppler radar here, and as you can see, the strongest part of this storm, I'm actually going to switch it to single-site radar, go to the Gaylord radar. And as you can see, there's quite the strong hail core here. Northeast of the Peacock area, northwest of Luther. Right along M37 there, towards East 10 Mile Road. That is where radar is indicating potentially some larger hail there. And in fact, you can see on reflectivity, at least from the Gaylord radar, you see this reflectivity going kind of spiking towards the Peacock area. That is a 3-body scattered spike. And that is the hail in the upper part of these storms. In the upper part of this storm being reflected off the radar beam. It's kind of scattering the beam. It's kind of creating that 3-body scattered spike there. So this is another sign we may be looking at some larger hail or a lot of hail in this storm. We're going to go over to our hail tracker real quickly. And this is a little bit of a delayed scan, but as I switch our header, but again, it is showing a signal for some larger hail near north of the Peacock area, north of Luther, northwest of Luther. It's going to stay mainly towards, if you're near the Little Manistee area, the Irons area, the Skookum area, or Bristol, the Edgetts area. These are some little communities in the path of this particular storm with the potential for some up to quarter-size hail. If you're near the Tustin area, the Leroy area, you'll want to watch this as well. And this is just outside of our area, but it looks like they have issued a severe thunderstorm warning, the National Weather Service over in Gaylord. And this is for, as I pull it up here, for Missaukee and Wexford counties. This is the southern portions of these counties. This is also for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So we're going to go back to our reflectivity here. Give me just 1 second. And what I actually want to try and do, I'm going to take my face cam off just for a second so we can see it clear. And I'm going to take a slice into this storm. This is from the National Weather Service office in radar in Gaylord, and as you can see, as I take a slice into the storm, you can see the pinks, the whites, the purples being in the storm being it's being lofted up into to around 15 to 20,000 feet or so. And what this is a sign of, that this is a relatively strong updraft lofting this hail up. This is not the highest I've seen tonight, but still a decent height. The storm itself is going to around 40,000 feet. So again, this is a relatively strong storm being fueled by the elevated instability we have in place tonight across the area. So again, you got the hail being lofted fairly high up into the atmosphere, being around 15 to 20,000 feet. And that's a sign of a relatively strong storm. We're going to take this off, go back to regular radar, get my face cam back up. Travis on Facebook is saying hello. Hello there, Travis. Thanks for joining us now early this Tuesday morning after midnight. So again, this storm is going to be quickly tracking out of, let me see, what speed was this moving at? Moving east at 40. So I'm going to go ahead and do a storm track on the strongest part of this storm. Track it off to the east at around 40 miles per hour. Zachary is on YouTube saying there is a mesoscale discussion out for Michigan. Yep, we are aware of that. In fact, I believe we just posted it just before we came back live here, mentioning about that mesoscale discussion. If you didn't happen to see that post, that discussion's basically mentioning the continued potential for severe weather as we head into the overnight hours, and that while severe thunderstorm watch issue is uncertain, they'll be watching these short-term trends. What goes on with these storms over the next little bit, and they will decide in coordination with our friends at the local National Weather Service offices on whether to pull the trigger on a severe thunderstorm watch. So give me just a second and adjust the screen here. I did do a storm track here. So Tustin in the next 15 to 20 minutes, you'll be watching for this storm. The Highland area in the next half an hour or so. McBain, this is just outside of our coverage area, but in the next 35 minutes or so. And Marion, the Marion area, in the next 40 minutes or so. You'll be watching for this storm as well. If it holds its current strength, I would not be surprised to see a severe thunderstorm warning come out for northern portions of Osceola County. Again, if this storm holds its current strength. So we're going to zoom out. I'm going to go ahead and take off our storm track here. We'll just zoom out and do a general look at the situation and go back to composite. Just take a general look at the situation. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings right now near and north of US 10 for these elevated thunderstorms that are likely producing large hail and potentially some gusty to damaging winds as well. But these are mainly hail potential of these storms. They are updating our severe thunderstorm warning now. For northeastern Lake County, they are continuing with 60 mile per hour winds and quarter-size hail. But they have taken a few of our areas that were previously in the warning out. Mainly the Peacock area, the Irons area, Little Manistee. You have been taken out of this warning now. This primarily leaves the Skookum area, Bristol, Edgetts. If you live near the EVAD Enterprises aerodrome area, if you live near there, you're in this warning for the next little bit, for the next 40 minutes. Although these storms moving off to the east, last I checked was 40 miles per hour. Let me double check. Moving east at 50 miles per hour, so a little bit quicker now. So that will be out of the county in the next probably 15-20 minutes max. We'll have to see what the National Weather Service decides to do, whether they extend the severe thunderstorm warning out to northern Osceola County. And again, if anyone has any storm reports to pass along to us, in terms of hail, or if you get any winds or anything like that, any damage. Hopefully we don't see too much damage tonight, but if you have those to pass along to us, please feel free to do so. You can do so in chat here. We are watching chat. And also on our website at www.westmichiganweather.net/report. That is where you can submit those storm reports to us. And we're going to do a general look across all of West Michigan. In addition to these storms north of the M46 corridor and especially near and north of US 10, we are also watching some additional storms off to our south and west that is getting ready to move from the Chicago and Milwaukee areas over Lake Michigan. We are watching a cell that has popped up in the last little bit west of Holland as well. But these storms will move off to the east, and we'll have to watch these again for a similar hail and damaging wind threat as they move off to the east as well. But again, as our last live stream, if you missed that, there is an inversion at the lowest levels of the surface tonight. That's kind of limiting our severe potential over on this side of Lake Michigan a little bit. But we still could see some isolated damaging wind gusts and large hail south of the M46 corridor with these storms as well as they move off to the east over the next hour or two. So we'll be here watching that as well. Going back to our severe thunderstorm warning, I'm going to go back to single site radar. And I will say it's not looking quite as impressive on radar as it was just a few minutes ago. Looks like we lost most of our free body scattered spike. Our reflectivity is not looking as impressive. But again, this storm still could be strong to severe. So if you're in northeastern portions of Lake County, you'll definitely want to be inside, preferably away from those windows. Just let this storm pass on by. And then we are watching some other storms. Again, in the same area that we were covering in northeastern Clare County. That will be leaving the county shortly. Let me see what that is. Okay, that is probably just Gaylord. Okay, so that's some updates from the National Weather Service on Gaylord. There's actually quite a few severe thunderstorm warnings in effect now. Let me animate this, make sure we have the latest information. There we go. Okay. So there's several severe thunderstorm warnings across near and north of US 10 right now. And there's also severe thunderstorm warnings back off to the west in Wisconsin and to our southwest here in the Chicago area, and special marine warnings. So we'll have to see what the National Weather Service decides to do regarding or the Storm Prediction Center, I should say, in coordination with the National Weather Service offices. We will have to see if they do decide to pull a trigger on a severe thunderstorm watch. Okay, so I don't see anything new in case of our storm is approaching the Tustin area right now. If anything else, even if these storms are not producing severe hail or winds, if nothing else, these are fairly loud thunderstorms. There's been a lot of lightning being produced this evening with these, tonight, I should say, with these storms. And as they continue to move off to the east, we expect that to continue to be the case. Taking a look at some other radars. Unfortunately, we are having to operate off of surrounding radars tonight. If you missed in our last live stream, the National Weather Service radar out of Grand Rapids is unfortunately offline at this current point in time due to hardware issues. Last I saw from the National Weather Service, they're going to resume troubleshooting tomorrow morning. We are hoping they can get that back up in time for tomorrow, for our secondary potential round of severe weather tomorrow afternoon and evening. Hopefully we'll have the Grand Rapids radar back for that, but unfortunately for tonight we're having to operate off of surrounding radars, which I mean will work, but unfortunately we'll not get the lowest level scans for seeing damaging wind potential and the such. Unfortunately, we're kind of operating without those lower level scans tonight. And as EVAC311 on YouTube said, unfortunate timing. Yes, very unfortunate timing with this. But these things happen sometimes, and we'll just have to work around it. Okay, So I do not see anything new from the Weather Service. We're going to take a look at a few products real quick. This is going to be probability of severe hail. This is a composite product that we have here, just showing off the probability of severe hail. And it was elevated earlier. Let's go to that. That was around near an 80% earlier north of the Peacock area. So there's some decent potential for some quarter size, maybe up to quarter size hail there. That storm a little bit earlier, around the time the severe thunderstorm warning was issued. But it has kind of dropped off for the moment. It's a little bit elevated. Not severe level, but northeastern Clare County, north of the Harrison area, northeast of the Harrison area, west of the Buttman area. There's a little bit of hail potential there. Taking a look at estimated hail size, up to, this is estimated, this is not necessarily what's falling at the surface, but maybe up to 3/4 of an inch hail being estimated. And in the case of our severe thunderstorm warning, we have estimates, at least as of right now, maybe up to pea-size hail. Taking a look at some of our other storms, we're not seeing anything. Chicago area could be getting some decent hail soon, but again, we're not seeing anything. Let's do a hail swath actually over the last, we'll go hour. This is a estimated hail size swath over the last hour. As you can see, we've just had these storms come through, producing some small to maybe marginally severe hail. Like we had this one that started around the Clare area, which kind of prompted us to come on the first time with severe weather coverage. What started in Clare County, tracked through southern Gladwin County. It's now tracking in the northern Bay and southeastern Aranac County. And let's see what that is. Okay, that was just a special weather statement from the National Weather Service in Detroit. Okay, just kind of flipping through some products here. And again, there was that other storm we were watching earlier that moved across northern Osceola County and northern Clare County. That did not go severe. And then this one, the most recent severe thunderstorm warning, which is technically still in effect, that started really in northern Mason County, north of the Ludington area, tracked east into Lake County. Northern portions of Lake County produced some severe hail, potentially north of the Peacock area, and it's kind of on a weakening trend again for right now. But in the meantime, we do continue, as I go back to regular radar, with this severe thunderstorm warning for the next half an hour or so, although I will say this storm's tracking out of Lake County now and in northern Osceola County. I do not have any new information from the National Weather Service on whether they're going to go with a warning for northern Osceola County. I will say with the storm being on a weakening trend, I'm kind of leaning towards they won't at this time. But we'll give them a little bit to decide what they want to do with that. For those of you in southern Wexford County around the Cadillac area, if you are watching, it looks like the National Weather Service in Gaylord has canceled the severe thunderstorm warning, as it looks like the strongest part of this storm is going to stay south of the area. It's going to stay more into northern Osceola County, but it is also on a weakening trend. Don't get me wrong, it's still a stronger storm, still producing frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, and still maybe some heavy rainfall and smaller hail, but I'm just not sure it's at severe levels at the moment. And I suspect within the next few minutes we will be seeing a severe thunderstorm warning for the extreme northeastern portion of Lake County, north of the Luther area. I suspect we will be seeing that drop off here shortly. So, okay. Just taking a look at hail tracker real quick. And this is a little bit delayed. Alright, actually it did kind of ramp up again just a touch near the Tustin area. So I get our hail tracker header up. Near the Tustin area we are seeing some potential indications for some hail. If we go back over to reflectivity, that matches up with the reflectivity signal. Actually, it is kind of ramping back up, so I think we're going to stick around. Even though the warning I suspect will be dropped off for Lake County here momentarily, I think we are going to stick around just for a few minutes and let this storm get through Lake County, northern portions of Lake County, excuse me. Because if it's ramping back up again, I would not be surprised to see a warning come out for northern Lake County. Let's take a look at velocity. Actually, storm relative velocity especially. And on storm relative velocity, we're not... Some of these storms we were seeing signs of rotation. Like, actually, we'll take a look at this one near Lake City. We are on storm relative velocity, we are seeing some signs of rotation of these storms. Again, we're not super concerned about a tornado threat with these storms, as these storms are elevated in nature, thanks to that inversion down at the surface. A little bit of the capping inversion down at the surface kind of limit these storms from becoming surface-based, bringing that rotation down to the surface. So we're not really concerned about a tornado threat for tonight. Again, that just goes to show these storms are a bit on the stronger side, and hence the hail threat that we've been kind of mentioning throughout the day today, that we expected would happen tonight, and here we are. Let's go back to reflectivity, and it does look like the National Weather Service has canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for Lake County as expected. So as of right now, we have no active severe thunderstorm warnings, although I will be staying on here just a few more minutes as the storm has kind of pulsed back up just a little bit near the Tustin area, and just with it ramping up, I just want to stay on here, make sure we don't have to come right back on 2 seconds later if a severe thunderstorm warning comes for northern Lake County. As we try to cover severe thunderstorm warnings, no matter where they are in the coverage area. I don't care if it's Mason County or Ingham County or Hillsdale County. Most of the time, we try to aim to cover these warnings no matter where they are in our coverage area. So, okay, we're going to take a look at hail tracker once again, see what that's showing. There it is. Actually, we'll go over to composite, take a look at some other products. Probability of severe hail. Not terrible at the moment. Let me turn smoothing off. Just a second. Turn the smoothing off. And that is showing 30-35% probability of severe hail. This is estimated, not perfect, but maximum hail size around a ½ being estimated near the Tustin area. Vertical degree liquid, that's definitely elevated there. So near the Tustin area, that's where we're seeing a better hail signal for the moment. Maybe also a little bit of a hail signal near the Harrison area, maybe some smaller hail. And going further south, we'll have to watch these storms over the lake heading through Chicago right now as well, that we'll have to watch for the short term as well. Let's go back to the Doppler radar and turn the hail tracker header off. So we're just going to stick around for a few more minutes, just in case a severe warning does come down the wire for northern portions of Lake County. We're going to actually take a look at debris tracker. We're not going to be using it for debris in this case, but we are seeing again that signal for some hail there near the Tustin area. See how it's kind of, see this blue that we're seeing? That's We saw this earlier in Lake County. This free body scattered spike signal. Excuse me. And okay, that's kind of ramping up again near the Tustin area. So we're seeing an increase in hail signal of this storm near the Tustin area, near the Osceola and Wexford County line. We are seeing an increasing signal for large hail of the storm. So if you're near the Highland area, heads up, we are seeing increasing potential for hail of this storm. The McBain area, Marion, we have no official severe thunderstorm warning yet, but this storm has been ramping up again over the last few minutes, and I would not be surprised to see at least up to penny, maybe quarter-size hail of this storm. This is right along near US 131 and M 115 there. Kind of near that area, near the Dighton and Inna areas, Highland again, the Park Lake area community, Pisgah Heights community, and Marion, some areas that may be impacted by this storm. The McBain area that is just outside of our coverage area, but we might have viewers from there. Just a heads up, this storm is ramping up again, and you might definitely want to be inside as these storms move through. So, okay. Just waiting for the next few minutes, see what the National Weather Service decides to do with the storm as it moves off to the east. Okay. Alright. If I'm going silent, guys, I'm still here, just looking at a few things behind the scenes. Okay. Just bear with me just for a second. Alright, so, okay. So we're continuing to watch this storm near the Osceola and Wexford County line that has been ramping up again over the last few minutes, over the last few radar scans here. Currently not severe, but just with the way this it's been presenting on radar, I would not be surprised to see an elevated hail threat with this storm. I'm going to go back to some of our other products here behind the scenes, and probability of severe hail is getting up there again. Estimated hail size. And let me turn the smoothing off on it. That's starting to get up there again. Over 1/2 inch of diameter now near the Tustin area. North of there, right along US 131. And just going through some products here. So, again, no severe thunderstorm warning or special weather statement just yet. But with that trend, the way that storm's trending, I would not be surprised if that does come out here shortly. So that's why we're kind of just hanging it around here. So we're going to go back south, though, just for the moment, kind of assess the situation elsewhere. Outside of that storm, we are watching this cell near Holland. It's not looking too impressive at the moment, but Holland, Port Sheldon, I would not be surprised if you're seeing heavier rainfall, probably some frequent lightning with this storm as it moves on shore. Maybe some small hail for the moment. We're not too concerned about that with this storm for the moment, but we will definitely be watching that. We are also watching other storms heading east from the Chicago area, from near the Milwaukee area. That is moving over the lake at the moment. We are watching some additional stronger storms. As they move off to the east, this is primarily going to be a deal along and south of I-96. We'll have to be watching these storms for additional hail and maybe gusty to damaging wind threat. There are other storms as well near the Sheboygan area, Green Bay, that are prompting severe thunderstorm warnings, primarily again for the potential of large hail and special marine warnings as well. That again will be a north of M46 situation. Let's see, what do we got coming in here? Let's see. Probably just from Gaylord. Okay, so still nothing on our storm near the Tustin area as I go back to that. But we're still showing an elevated signal for hail moving into the Highland area right now. Near the McBain area, heading towards Marion over the next few minutes, especially maybe just to the north of Marion. Pretty much along the county line of Osceola, Lexford, and Milwaukee counties. That's kind of where we're watching for the moment. For the potential of maybe a little bit more in the way of a hail concern. Again, not severe at the moment, but if anyone in these areas is seeing hail or have any reports of passed along to us, please feel free to do so. It would greatly help us out tonight. You could submit those to us in chat. We are watching chat here tonight, and also on our website at www.westmichiganweather.net/report. You can submit those reports to us. So again, still don't have anything new here. I just do not want to get off the stream just yet and have a severe thunderstorm warning coming as we get off the air and have to come right back on 2 seconds later. So just kind of hanging out, seeing what this storm does over the next few minutes. Taking a look at this cell and heading into Holland right now. Unfortunately, we don't have a good low-level view of this storm. This is Milwaukee radar. So again, it's just mainly a lightning and heavy rainfall, maybe some small hail threat. Unfortunately, with the Grand Rapids radar being offline, see, there's no data coming in for the moment, unfortunately. So kind of a situation where we don't have a good low-level view of the storm. But we're on the Milwaukee radar. That's showing these cells over the lake pretty decently. And we're definitely seeing some elevated DBZ values with these DBZ cores with this, potentially indicating some hail. Another one of those east of the Highland Park area, heading over Lake Michigan. Go over to Chicago radar. Take a look at these storms that are now getting ready to leave the Chicago area, head over Lake Michigan. And these storms will primarily be a deal for areas along and south of I-96 is where we will be watching there over the next couple of hours as well as they move on shore. We'll say if I pull up the discussion from the Storm Prediction Center, pull that up behind the scenes. Actually, I think I can take it on my other source here. Give me just 1 second. This is from the Storm Prediction Center, that mesoscale discussion I was talking about earlier. Severe storms possible into the overnight. Most probable peak intensity for wind is 55 to 70 miles per hour. So pretty much marginally severe wind gusts, probably around 60 miles per hour. Maximum up to 70, but probably closer to 60. If not below severe limits. And hail is below $0.5 size, or 1.25 inches in diameter. So we're not really expecting too much more than $0.25 to $0.5 size hail with the strongest storms. And that will be fairly isolated in nature. So, but just going through the summary, isolated severe storms mainly capable of hail should increase through late evening into the overnight. They did mention that while the need for a severe thunderstorm watch is uncertain, short-term trends will be monitored. So basically they're monitoring for the potential of a severe thunderstorm watch, which I think could go either way. Because again, as I said of our last live stream, for a marginal severe weather risk, it's kind of, while it happens, it's a little bit on the rare side to see watches with those, just because of the spatial coverage of these storms. Again, it's more isolated in nature and just generally doesn't always meet the coverage to really warrant a watch, but they are monitoring it. They are monitoring these short-term trends with these storms, and we'll have to see what happens in the next little bit if they do decide to pull the trigger on a severe thunderstorm watch. So it looks like we got a new special marine warning coming in now. That is for the complex over Lake Michigan. That is primarily, as the information comes in here, I'm going to go back to radar. It's primarily for gusty winds over 34 knots or 40 miles per hour, and hail. This is large hail greater than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So this is mainly a hail special marine warning coming in now from roughly our near shore and mid lake waters, from roughly St. Joseph to Holland is where we're watching as the information continues to come in. Just pull up the text on that. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a special marine warning for the near shore and open waters from St. Joseph to Holland. This goes until 2:30 this morning, so it's a little bit longer of a warning. Just with all these storms overhead over the lake, there's kind of issuing a blanket warning just to cover the whole complex as it moves off to the east. Severe thunderstorms were located about 25 knots at 12:33 a.m. Severe thunderstorms were located about 25 nautical miles east of the wind point area, moving east at 40 knots. Hazard with this is wind gusts 34 knots or 40 miles per hour or greater, and large hail. Large hail for marine slightly lower than what you would typically consider for a severe thunderstorm warning, which is 1 inch in diameter or greater or quarter size. But in this case, large hail is 3/4 of an inch or greater. Source on this is radar indicated. Impact: small craft could be damaged in briefly higher winds and suddenly higher waves. Large hail could result in structural damage. Some locations impacted include the South Haven Light, St. Joseph Light, and St. Joseph. Move to safe harbor until hazardous weather passes. I know this time of night there's probably not too, I would tend to think there's not too awfully much out there, but nonetheless, if you are out there, you want to be heading towards safe harbor. And what I will also do is, now that we got good indication on storm motion, we could also do a few storm tracks on some of these stronger cores, just to give an early heads up for our onshore as these storms move onshore. So tracking that off to the east around 40 to 45 miles per hour. Let me zoom in a little bit, try and get a few more locations. But this will be heading towards the Ganges area in the next 35 to 40 minutes, the Douglas area in the next 35 to 40 minutes as well, the Overijssel area at around 50 to 55 minutes, the Allegan area in the next hour or so, Hopkins also in the next hour, and the Door area also just within the next hour and a half or so. So again, if you're in any of these areas I'm highlighting, you're not under any warnings yet, but just treat this as an early heads up that we are watching these storms as they move off to the east for the potential of some hail, especially, and maybe some gusty winds as well. So we're going to go ahead and clear that out. I do want to pass along. Alright, looks like we got a new severe thunderstorm warning coming in now. This is for Clare and Oyola counties. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. I kind of figured this might happen eventually, but here we are. We're going to go back to single site radar, and this is for this storm near the Highland area. This warning goes until 1:30 this morning. For the potential of quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I am going to pull up the warning text from our friends at the National Weather Service. Let's close out some of these other tabs here. Just a second. Okay. There we go. So, alright. So, the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Clare County in central Michigan and northeastern Osceola County, also in central Michigan. And this warning goes until 1:30 a.m. this morning. At 12:37 a.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near the Marion area, or 13 miles to the south of Lake City, moving east at 50 miles per hour. Again, the primary hazards with this is 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Source on this is radar indicated, and the impacts again is hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Some locations impacted by this severe thunderstorm include the Marion area, Harrison, the Highland area, Elbow Lake, Cranberry Lake, Arnold Lake, Long Lake, the Leota area, and Dodge and Town Line community. If you're in any of the areas I just named, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Again, these storms are moving off to the east at around 50 miles per hour. I will do a storm track here in just a moment. Kat on Facebook is saying, good evening. Thank you for your meteorology this evening. You're very welcome, Kat. Thanks for tuning in with us on this late night severe weather coverage. And glad I can help out this evening with that. Alright, so now we're going to do our storm track. I'm going to track from the strongest part of this storm, moving off to the east again at around 50 miles per hour. And it looks like, doesn't look like there's really any locations. Oh, there we go. Just had to zoom in quite far. But the Rainbow Bend area in the next 15 minutes or so. The Leota area in the next 17 minutes. Buck Trails in the next 19 or around 20 minutes. The Cooperton area in the next 20 to 25 minutes. Long Lake Heights also in the next 20 to 25 minutes. Meredith in the next half hour or so. And Skeels also the next half hour or so. That is heading out of our coverage area into Gladwin County, but just a hurry heads up for those locations. Right here at 5766 in Sheridan, how's the weather in my way? We're not seeing anything too concerning right now in the Sheridan area, but that does not mean we still can't see storms later on tonight, so still remain weather aware, but we're not seeing anything imminently concerning in the Sheridan area, Kat. So let's stay weather aware, and we'll let you know if that does change. Also, we do have the details on these warnings in case you miss it on the stream here. When I mention it initially, it is also scrolling on the bottom of the screen. The alert information, that contains location information for these stronger storms as well. So, so just in case you miss it when I say it from time to time, it's there on the bottom of the screen as well. So, just taking a look behind the scenes at some data here. Let's go ahead and take a look at hail tracker here. Give me just 1 second. And that is showing an elevated signal. The scan's a little bit delayed, but near the Highland area and Marion, that's where we've been watching for large hail potential. Actually, just got a newer scan coming in here just north of the Marion area, near the Park Lake area. So we're seeing the best signal for the large hail potential at this time. I don't have any reports of anything from the National Weather Service. But if there's going to be large hail falling, it's going to be near and just north of the Marion area, right along M66. And again, I'll be heading towards the Rainbow Bend or Leota areas, Buck Trails. Over towards the Piney Woods, Long Lake Heights, and Cooperton areas as well, just north of Harrison is where we're watching. Let's go back to reflectivity. And I just want to take a look at velocity real quick. We're going to go over to storm relative velocity. And we're not really seeing too much there either. But again, so take a look at velocity. This is elevated a little bit, may not necessarily be reaching the ground. But we are seeing 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, roughly 4,000 feet up. Again, it may not necessarily be reaching the surface, but just something to be aware of. It is warned for up to 60 mile per hour winds as well. So it's entirely possible these stronger storms that could be transferred down to the surface. I'm not seeing anything super concerning there at the moment, but something we are watching as well, in addition to the hail concerns. So outside of that, we do have other severe thunderstorm warnings in northern Michigan as well. This is rarely where we've seen most of the warnings so far tonight. But that does not mean our southern areas are out of concern yet, as we are also watching this complex of storms that has special marine warnings on it as it moves off to the east. We are seeing some elevated reflectivity values on these as well, and they could be producing some larger hail potentially as well. This storm near the Holland and Jamestown area, we're not seeing anything extremely concerning, probably just some heavier downpours heading in towards the Hudsonville, Zeeland, and Jamestown areas. That'll be heading east into the Wyoming, Kentwood areas. We're not seeing anything extremely concerning at the moment with this particular cell, but we're going to continue watching it on all these main cells over to southern Lake Michigan as they move off to the east. This will primarily be a concern for areas along and south of I-96 over the next few hours as well. We are watching other storms towards the Green Bay and Sheboygan areas. As they move off to the east, that could be an issue primarily for areas along and north of M46 as well. So, do we have a new special weather statement coming in? Let me check on that. It says we have a new special weather statement coming in. Is that Northern Indiana? Okay, that is for Northern Report and southwestern Berrien counties. We're going to go there really quickly. That is likely for this storm. Turn composite off. We'll go to Northern Indiana. This is a special weather statement for the potential of half-inch hail and 40 mile per hour wind gusts. So this is for southwestern Berrien County. So heads up for areas in like New Buffalo, the Three Oaks area, New Troy. Just some of the areas I'm naming here. You're under a special weather statement now until 1:30 this morning. Just with this stronger cell over Lake Michigan heading onshore over the next little bit. I'll do a quick storm track on it. Just 1 second. Heading off to the east at around 35 to 40 miles per hour. That's going to take it towards the Long Beach area in the next 10 minutes. The Smith, some of these areas are northern Indiana, but the Three Oaks area in the next half hour. The Galleon area in the next 41 minutes. And the Buchanan area eventually as well, probably in the next hour or so. So again, this is not a severe thunderstorm, but just something we are watching over the next little bit as well. These storms over Lake Michigan, in fact. South Haven, if you were to look to your west, the Douglas and Ganges area, you're probably seeing quite the light show from these storms right now off to your left over the lake. So we'll go back to our severe thunderstorm warning. We'll go back to the proper Gaylord radar in this case. And this storm, the strongest part of this storm is now out of Osceola County into northern Clare County, especially north of the Harrison area. If I zoom in just a little bit more, the Rainbow Bend area, the Leota area, Buck Trails, You're probably getting into the thick of this particular storm right now, seeing some heavy rainfall, some frequent lightning, and probably some hail as well. We'll take a look, and then it'll be in the Cooperton area and Long Lake Heights, Piney Woods over the next few minutes as well. This should say just to the north of Harrison. So Harrison proper, you are not in, shall I say, the north side of Harrison, you are in the severe thunderstorm warning. Like if you're towards the Clare County Airport and points north, you're in the severe thunderstorm warning. But it should stay just to the north of Harrison proper. We're going to go to Hail Tracker again real quickly. Just seeing what we're looking at in terms of hail potential. Again, this scan's a little bit delayed. It was showing the heaviest hail potential near the Marion area. In fact, we'll go over to composite. There's some other products I can look at. Showing the probability of severe hail elevated. Actually, we just got a new scan in. Still around 50% or so northeast of Marion and northwestern Clare County. Maximum hail size, maybe up to penny size or so being estimated. This is estimate, so it's not perfect, but there's just some other sources we're looking at as well. Full radar back up. And we'll go back to reflectivity. Just 1 second. Take a look at debris tracker. We're not using it for debris. No, in this case it's mainly hail. Maybe some signal hail in there. Not as impressive as we were looking at earlier, but maybe some signal of hail in there still. So we'll go back to reflectivity though. And that seems to be, I will say it's not looking, it's still there, the hail signal, but it's not quite as intense as it was as a few scans ago. That's been kind of the theme with these storms tonight. They pulse up, pulse down, pulse back up. This seems to be the theme of these storms tonight. So go back, just do a general reset. Oops, let me switch to the proper product. Taking a look across all of West Michigan, there's a few main areas of storms we're watching at this time. These storms near and north of the US 10 corridor is our ongoing severe weather threat. Mainly for the potential of large hail up to or even in excess of quarter size. Seems to be the main concern with these storms. I haven't seen too many reports of large hail yet, which is good news. Hopefully that remains the case. We are watching some additional storms near the Green Bay area that will move off to the east. It'd primarily be a near and north of M46 issue, I think. And then some additional storms over southern Lake Michigan right now. That'll be moving on shore towards the South Haven area in the next little bit. Over towards South Haven, St. Joseph, New Buffalo areas, over towards Holland as well. Pretty much between the Lake Michigan shoreline, between New Buffalo and Holland especially, is where we're watching these storms for the same hail and gusty to damaging wind potentials we've been seeing up to our north this evening. Okay. So, and the Muskegon, Grand Haven, Ithaca, St. John's area, you'll still want to be weather aware. Just because we're not seeing much on radar heading towards your area just yet tonight doesn't mean we can't fill in storms between these two complexes. Then you get into the storm threat as well. We're not seeing imminent signs of that, but still a possibility tonight as well. They are updating our severe thunderstorm warning. If you are in Osceola County, you are cleared from this particular severe thunderstorm. It has moved east into northern Clare County. So I'm going to pull up the updated text on this real quick. Just kind of some updated information. Excuse me. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Osceola County is canceled. Severe thunderstorm which prompted the warning has moved out of the warned area. Therefore, the warning has been canceled. And a severe thunderstorm warning does remain in effect until 1:30 for our friends in northern Clare County. At 12:50 a.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near the Bonnersville area, or 14 miles to the southwest of Houghton Lake, moving off to the east at 55 miles per hour. So this storm's a little bit up there in speed now. So again, the primary hazard continues to be 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Source continues to be radar indicated. I do not have any official reports of large hail that has come in yet. Hopefully that does continue to remain the case. Let me just double check behind the scenes and some other sources. Still haven't seen anything. Hopefully that remains the case. But again, locations impacted include the Arnold Lake area, Long Lake, Elbow Lake, the Leota area, Cranberry Lake, and Dodge and Town Line. If you're in the areas I just named, you'll still want to remain inside, preferably that sturdy structure. As a course of least regret, the interior room on the lowest floor of a building. As this storm continues to move off to the east, I will do another storm track. Let me get the higher resolution radar back up to do that. Give me just a second to do this. We'll go from the strongest part of this storm, track it off to the east, around 50 miles per hour. Oops. Okay, we're good. Alright. That's going to take it into the Cooperton area in the next few minutes. The rain is already picking up and the lightning, but the strongest part of the storm with the hail will be moving in the next 8 minutes. Right along the county line between Clare and Gladwin County, the Meredith community in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And then the Skeels area in the next 20 minutes or so. And then they'll be moving into Gladwin County, the Buttman and Oberlin areas in the next 25 minutes or so. Now I'll be taking it into Gladwin and southern Roscommon counties. So this is officially the only severe thunderstorm warning we are maintaining in our coverage area at this time is northern Clare County. We'll have to see what happens with our southern storm complex as they move off to the east. That is just from the National Weather Service engagement from Manistee County. Okay. So we're going to take a look at our southern complex of storms. South Haven, you're probably seeing things pick up right now. Probably the heavy rain, the frequent lightning, maybe some hail signal in there as well. I'll take a look behind the scenes at a few products. Probability of severe hail, fortunately not too high right now. Estimated hail size, maybe pea-size hail being indicated. And a little bit larger there, less in the Douglas and Ganges area over the lake. Maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch hail. Not seeing anything extremely impressive right now. Taking a look at our storm here, heading towards the New Buffalo area, and still nothing too impressive there either. Hopefully that remains the case. So we're not seeing anything extremely impressive. Take a look at vertical integrated liquid. And that's the elevated signal there with that storm. But definitely stronger storms are definitely north of the US 10 corridor for the moment. But we'll continue to watch these as they move off to the east as well. Just a lot of updated information from Gaylord for north of our coverage area. We'll go back to reflectivity. So if you're just joining us here on this early Tuesday morning, I'm Jacob Mountain live here at West Michigan Weather as we continue to track strong to severe thunderstorms across portions of our coverage area. We continue with a severe thunderstorm warning until 1:30 this morning for our friends in Clare County. This is primarily for the potential of quarter-size hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts. This is for this cell, just strongest part of the storm, just north of the Harrison area, really across rural areas of northern Clare County. Let's quickly move off to the east over the next little bit, and I will say the signal's not looking quite. It's still a strong storm, don't get me wrong, as I get our higher resolution radar back up. Coming out of the National Weather Service in Gaylord. Looks like our greatest hail potential right now is going to be right along the US 127 corridor north of Harrison. Is where we're watching the greatest potential for large hail currently. So that'll be near the Cooperton, the Leota areas. That's where we're seeing the best signal for large hail. Near Muskegon Road or East Pierce Road. That'll be towards Old US 27 near the Cooperton area. The Old US 27, trying to get some landmarks. The Turamax Golf Course. Just if you're near that area, you're probably seeing some larger hail, especially just the potential for larger hail, especially just to the north of there. Okay, just checking behind the scenes. I have not seen any new reports come in, which if anyone in northern Clare County who might be watching, if you do have storm reports to pass along to us, we would greatly appreciate them. Especially northern Clare County, if you have reports to pass along to us of hail or gusty winds or damage of any sort, feel free to post those in chat. We are watching chat. You could also go to our website at www.westmichiganweather.net/report and submit your storm reports there. Again, we would greatly appreciate any storm reports that anyone does happen to have this tonight, if you could do so safely. Alright, we still don't have anything new coming in terms of the southern storm complex. And I will say this one's not looking as impressive as it was earlier. Not looking as impressive. Still strong nonetheless with heavy rain, maybe some small hail and gusty winds, in addition to frequent lightning. But we're not. I will say the severe potential of this complex is a little bit lower than our northern storms. Not zero nonetheless, but definitely a bit lower than probably these northern storms. Let me take a look behind the scenes at some meso-analysis. Give me just a second. Hold on, meso-analysis. I'll probably be able to take out my secondary source here too. I'm looking for mid-level lapse rates. Alright. I'm going to go over to our other source here real quick. Mid-level. Mid-level lapse rates. I will say, if we go over to our other source here, you'll see me disappear just for a second. But these are our mid-level lapse rates as seen on SPC meso-analysis. And as you can see, they're quite impressive, especially south of I-96 is where we're seeing the most impressive lapse rates. Over values of for severe weather, you want to generally see lapse rates over 6. Our values south of I-96 are 8. So definitely some impressive lapse rates for hail production this evening of these storms as they move on shore from Lake Michigan. So we'll have to watch these as they move off to the east as well. Take a look at instability. We'll go surface base. There is some surface-based instability from these storms to interact with as well, but there's also capping in the lower levels as well. SIN, as we know it, or capping inversion. That might limit these storms from becoming surface-based, where we'd have to be more concerned about it. About a hail, damaging wind, large hail, and tornado threat, or all hazards threat. We'll go mixed layer cape, and we've still got 1,000 in terms of mixed layer cape as well, but again, we still have mixed layer SIN as well, or capping inversion. We'll go to most unstable cape, and we're still over 1,000 most unstable cape. across much of the West Michigan area. So, still plenty of fuel for these storms to work with, especially in the mid and upper levels. So that's why these are mainly elevated storms. We'll have to watch these storms coming on shore right now over the next little while as well. They are updating our severe thunderstorm warning as I go back to radar. They are updating our severe thunderstorm warning again, taking out more of Clare County. If you are in the Rainbow Bend community, you have been removed from the severe thunderstorm warning areas west of there in northwestern Clare County. You have been removed. This is now mainly a northeastern Clare County issue. They are continuing at 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter size hail. We are continuing this warning for the next little less than a half hour, around 25 minutes or so. I'll go back to our higher resolution radar. And we are still showing a decent signal, maybe some hail right over the Cooperton area near the Clare and Roscommon County line, right along US 127 there. We're still showing a decent signal for some hail. Let me take a look at debris tracker. Not really using it for debris in this case, but definitely a signal of some hail in there. You can see the yellows, even some greens in there. That matches up with the reflectivity, so definitely a signal of some hail in there. Let's go over to hail tracker. Get the hail tracker header going. We'll go over to vertical integrated liquid. Again, these vertical integrated liquid scans are slightly delayed for the reflectivity, but it's still showing a decent hail signal there. Put it over reflectivity, it would be right over 127. They're near the Cooperton area. So Cooperton area is probably seeing the best potential for that bit larger hail, up to quarter size at this time. Besides that, we'll go ahead and do one more. I'm going to zoom in a little more. Long Lake Heights, you're probably seeing some heavy rain, maybe some hail, and frequent cloudy ground lightning, and some gusty wind potential. Buck Trails, you're on the back end of this storm, but still seeing some heavy rainfall, probably maybe some hail. Piney Woods, it looks like most of this is going just here north. And our main area of concern next is going to be the Meredith area, right along the Clare and Gladwin County lines is where we'll be watching. If you're near the Harrison area, it looks like we got a heavier downpour moving in. This is not severe, but maybe a heavier downpour as well moving in your area in over the next few minutes. So we're going to go ahead and do one last storm. Actually, what I'm going to do is take a slice through this storm as well. Let me zoom it out a bit, close this out. And I'm going to take my face camera off again just for a moment. This is looking a bit higher up in the storm, but again, similar story as last time. As you can see, this is a fairly strong storm, over 45,000 feet, and the hail is being lofted. The heavy rain and hail is being lofted to around 25, maybe 30,000 feet. So this is a relatively strong storm. Even though it's elevated in nature, it's still a stronger storm, producing the potential for larger hail, up to around quarter size in diameter. So just taking a slice in and taking a look into the storm. That's where we can see. Let's go back to our main radar display. Again, the strongest part of this storm is right along the Clare and Roscommon County line, east of the Cooperton area now. Be heading towards area near and just north of Meredith, right along the Highway 18 corridor over the next little bit. So if you are near Meredith Grade Road, that is some areas seeing some larger, maybe some hail. Trying to zoom in. If you're near the Angle Road area, definitely a signal of larger hail there. East of US 127, east of Business 27. Old US 27, excuse me. Other than that, Not seeing any signs of anything with these storms yet. We do have new special marine warnings coming in for these storms. This one's a little bit more intense. This is for the Lake Michigan, Northern Indiana. Got text here. Wind 49 knots and hail greater than 3/4 of an inch in diameter for Lake Michigan from Michigan City, Indiana to St. Joseph, Michigan, and then New Buffalo to St. Joseph until 1:45. So this storm's a little bit more intense. I'm going to take a look at that real quick. Let's go over to Northern Indiana, see what we're looking at with that. Let's go to velocity. And we are seeing a bit elevated signal of some higher wind with this storm west of St. Joseph. These brighter greens you're seeing on velocity, given this is a few thousand feet up. We are seeing 50 to 60 mile per hour winds about 7,000 to 8,000 feet up. Again, this is an elevated radar signal, but we are seeing some signal for stronger winds up to around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Actually, we're seeing a few pixels approaching 70 miles per hour, about 7,000 feet up. So I wouldn't rule out 50 to 60 miles per hour, right? Especially on the lake where there's less friction. I wouldn't doubt these winds reaching that. So probably 50 to 60 miles per hour. So just a bit higher end of a special marine warning, and we'll have to pay attention to this as it moves off to the east into Berrien County. In fact, I want to do a storm track on this particular storm as well, just give an early heads up. So it's moving off to the east at around 50 miles per hour. So hold on, let me redo that. Moving off to the east at around 50 to 60 miles per hour. It's going to take it towards the Shoreham area in the next 23 minutes. Stevensville in the next 23 minutes as well. St. Joseph in the next 25 minutes or so. The Eau Claire area in the next 35 minutes. The Keeler area in the next 40 minutes. And the Dowagiac area eventually in the next 45 minutes as well. Hartford will also say the next 40 to 45 minutes as well. So this storm's showing a little bit elevated of not only hail, but a little bit higher wind threat as well. We'll have to keep an eye on this one as it moves off to the east, and if it holds strength, a severe thunderstorm warning could eventually be required for Berrien County as well. So, okay. Take one back up north. Taking a look at our severe thunderstorm warning there. And I will say the strongest part of this storm is just about out of this warning. It'll be moving in the southern Roscommon and northwestern Gladwin County over the next several minutes. But it's right there near and just north of the Meredith areas where we're seeing the strongest part of this storm. Still likely producing some hail in addition to frequent cloud-to-cloud lightning and heavy rainfall, along with the potential for damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. But again, the strongest part of this storm will be departing the warning in the next few minutes or so. So I would not, similar to the last few warnings, I would anticipate this one probably being canceled a bit earlier as well. I'm going to take a look from a different radar site. I'm going to take a look at velocity. Unfortunately, this is in that spot where we're not really going to get the best velocity signals, unfortunately. Unfortunately, with the Grand Rapids radar being down. This is a Detroit radar, however, this is 20,000 feet up, showing over 70 mile per hour velocity, so that's very high up. And I doubt all that's reaching the surface. So, again, it's just not really a good spot with this radar, with the radars we have available. This one's about 10,000 feet. So, unfortunately, with the Grand Rapids radar being down, we don't have a good low-level signal near the lake shore here. So, okay. So, I think what we're going to do, since this storm's on its way out of the warning, I expect this warning to be canceled here Oops, let me turn my face camera back on. Almost forgot. I did forget. There we go. Forgot to turn my face camera back on, but okay. So I think our primary focus is going to be turning from this Clare County storm that it's on its way out. Our primary focus is probably going to be these storms just off the Lake Michigan shoreline, especially along and south of I-96. That's going to be our main focus, I think, for the next little bit, especially this storm west of St. Joseph, along the lakeshore between New Buffalo and St. Joseph. We'll be watching this storm in the short term, which is showing, again, a little bit elevated signal for not only hail, but maybe some damaging winds as well. Taking a look at velocity again, we continue to see these brighter greens here on radar. Given this is a few thousand feet up from the ground, looking at it from radar, but with wind gusts up to nearly 50 knots, that's around 55, 60 miles per hour, and the hail, larger hail, about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, that is approaching severe thunderstorm levels, and if it maintains itself, I would not completely rule out a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Berrien County if it continues to hold together. So, taking a look at reflectivity, we'll take a look at hail tracker too, just to see what our hail signal's looking like. And hail signal's not super impressive. We're seeing a little bit of hail signal as well. Unlikely to be severe, but south of the Ganges area towards Lee and southwestern Allegan County, and then west of the Douglas and Ganges area over the lake, and out we move it east into western Allegan County as well. Maybe a signal for some smaller hail. I'm actually going to go over to composite, take a look at some different products there. Probability of severe hail, not really showing anything. Maximum hail size, not all that impressive. Maybe pea-size hail there, west of the Douglas and Ganges area. Now, and maybe east of Lee. That's not very much of a signal. We'll be watching this near the west of the New Buffalo to St. Joseph area along the lake shore. Maybe an elevated signal of P to maybe slightly over pea-size hail, at least according to this estimate. So let's go back to reflectivity. And I will also watching these storms. West of the lakeshore, north of Whitehall, towards Ludington. We'll be watching these storms as well as they move on shore. As they're showing, they have severe thunderstorm warnings, special marine warnings associated with those as well. Those could be a little bit more of some large hail as well. Mainly near and north of M46. Although we are watching, maybe that might get a little bit south of there as well. We are also watching this other storm approaching the Cadillac area. It looks like it's taking a bit of a southeasterly turn. So we'll have to watch that in the next little bit, see if it potentially could clip northern portions of Clare County again, with the potential for larger hail. We'll have to watch that in the short term as well. So they're still maintaining our severe thunderstorm warning. Let me go back to reflectivity. I will say this severe thunderstorm warning will probably be dropped off in the next few minutes, as the strongest part of this storm has now moved out of Clare County into northern Gladwin and extreme southern Roscommon County. The strongest part of this storm is moving out of Clare County as I talk to you here, so I expect this warning to be dropped off our screen in the next couple of minutes. So I do think I'll go back to northern Indiana radar. Once that warning does drop off, I'm going to stay with you guys just for a little bit, at least till we get the storm near St. Joseph on shore. I do suspect let me take a look at velocity again. See if we're still showing the elevated velocities. So probably 50 to 60 mile an hour winds still. So I would not entirely rule out at least a special weather statement, if not a severe thunderstorm warning, come in for portions of Berrien County. There is already a special weather statement, although that storm is mostly weakened. That was moving on shore towards New Buffalo earlier. That has mostly weakened as it moved on shore. Let me try to animate the radar. Give me just 1 second. That has weakened as it moved on shore. So we'll have to see what that does to this storm. It's a little bit stronger west of the Stevensville area as that moves on shore over the next little bit. So if you take a look, we'll just do a quick reset of the entire situation across West Michigan. If you're just joining me tonight, it is approaching 1:20 a.m. on this Tuesday morning. This is Jacob Melton live here of West Michigan Weather. We are continuing to track strong to severe thunderstorms across portions of West Michigan. We do continue with a severe thunderstorm warning for the next 10 minutes in northeastern Clare County, although that strongest part of the storm has moved out, so I expect that warning to come off the screen momentarily. Vince is letting us know slight wind and lightning here in Portage. Thank you for that, Vince, on YouTube. We appreciate that. I would not doubt that. Probably quite the light show of these storms off to your west and northwest here in Portage. So would not surprise me at all. So again, Portage, we'll probably be getting into this in the next little while as well. We'll have to see what these storms do. So as they move on, continue to move on shore over the next little bit. They are updating our special marine warning, mainly from, we'll say South Haven, near South Haven North, near shore and open waters from St. Joseph to Holland. They are updating our special marine warning. Continuing it for the next, how long did it go? Next hour or so. That is for this storm right here, as it continues to move east as well. We'll go ahead and do a storm track on that one. Off to the east at around 60 miles per hour. I'm gonna take my face cam off just for a second so you can see the locations. But the Ganges area in the next 15 minutes or so. Allegan State Game area in the next 25 minutes or so. Allegan within the next half hour, 31 minutes or so. Hopkins in the next 35, 40 minutes or so. Watson around 40 minutes. Wayland also around 40 minutes. And Plainwell the next 40 to 45 minutes as well for this particular storm. That could be carrying at least some hail potential along with gusty winds. And it looks like they are going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Berrien County. So we're going to be shifting focus to that one most likely now. So did I clear the storm track? I did not. Let me do that. Okay. So the National Weather Service in northern Indiana is issuing a severe thunderstorm warning now for portions of Berrien County. This goes until 2 a.m. this morning for the potential 60 mile per hour wind gusts and petty size hail. I'm going to pull up the warning text from the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service in northern Indiana has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Berrien County in southwest Michigan. Again, it goes until 2 a.m. this morning. At 1:21 a.m., a severe thunderstorm is located 8 miles northwest of the Bridgman area, or 12 miles southwest of St. Joseph, moving east at around 50 miles per hour. Again, primary hazard with this is 60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. As I turn my face cam back on, give me just 1 second. There we go. Source on this is radar indicated impact, expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include the Niles area, Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, Buchanan, Fairplain, Benton Heights, Bridgman, Berrien Springs, Free Oaks, Stevensville, Shorewood Tower Hill, Shorewood Tower Hills Harbert, the Bertrand area, Dayton, Sodus, Shoreham, Eau Claire, Galion, and Union Pier. This also includes Interstate 196 between mile markers 0 and 1. So a very small section of I-196. And also Interstate 94 between mile markers 4 and 35. So that is roughly going to be Interstate 94 between New Buffalo Township and the Coloma area. That is what's being referenced there. If you're in any of these area locations I just called out, you'll want to head to an interior room, preferably on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. By the interior room, we mean away from windows, preferably the more central part of your home, just as the course of least regret, as this storm continues to move off to the east, maybe a touch southeast if I check animation. Yeah, maybe a touch southeast. We'll go ahead and do a storm track on it and then take a look at some other products. I'm going to do it from the strongest part of this storm. East, maybe a touch southeast at around 50 to 60 miles per hour. And that is going to take it to the Stevensville area in the next 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes or so. Sodus area in the next 20 minutes or so. Berrien Springs in the next 20 to 25 minutes, along with Eau Claire also in the next 20 to 25 minutes. The Pokagon area in the next half hour, 35 minutes or so. The Dowagiac area also in the next 35 minutes or so. The Cassopolis area in the next 40 minutes, give or take a few. Also the Decatur area around 40 to 45 minutes. Same with the Volenia area and Penn. So these later locations, you're not in a severe thunderstorm warning yet, but this is just a heads up for if this storm does hold together as it continues to move off to the east. Again, primary potential of this is 60 mile per hour wind gusts, along with the potential for penny-sized hail. If you did miss the details on the location, it is also scrolling along the bottom of the screen on our alert crawl. Again, on the bottom of the screen, it is scrolling all the details for our active alerts, including the special marine warning and severe thunderstorm warning. So watch the bottom of your screen for updated details as well. We're going to go over the velocity now, and I will say it's not as intense as it was earlier, but we're still showing a signal of some gustier winds. Heading into the Benton Heights, St. Joseph, Fairplain, Shoreham, and Stevensville area. Bridgman shortly as well. If I inspect it, I'm still seeing between 50 and 60 mile per hour velocities, albeit around 5,000 feet up. So that not all that maybe necessarily reaching the surface, although the lake has less friction. So if there's more wind, it's going to be over the lake and then immediately along the lake shore is where we'll really be watching the short term for potential damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour as it moves on shore. But still, St. Joseph, Fairplain, Stevensville, Bridgman, you're likely seeing the winds pick up as it moves on as the storm moves on shore. Same goes for Benton Heights. We're going to take a look at, back to reflectivity. I'm going to take a look at debris trackers, see, although we're not using this for debris, we're just seeing how this looks for hail. Maybe a signal of some hail there. Let's go to hail tracker, get that pulled up, see how that's looking. We are seeing a bit elevated of a hail signal there offshore west of Bridgman. Of course, this scan's a little bit delayed compared to reflectivity. I'll go back to that. Still a bit of an elevated signal of maybe some hail heading towards the Stevensville and Bridgman areas as the storm moves on shore. Let me take the hail tracker header off. Go back to reflectivity. So again, this is our only active severe thunderstorm warning now for Berrien County. They have allowed, I do believe they allowed our Clare County warning to expire. They have issued a new special marine warning though. We'll go to that in just a second for near the Ludington area. Let's go to composite for that. That's going to be for this cell, northwest of Ludington. That's showing a strong signal of some hail potentially. They are issuing that for winds greater than 34 knots or around 40 miles per hour and hail greater than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Again, we are seeing an elevated signal, elevated reflectivity values of this storm northwest of Ludington. So we'll have to watch this storm as it moves on shore as well. Mainly for Mason County portions of Mason County as it moves on shore as well. For the potential of gusty winds and maybe some larger hail. So again, but as of right now, our only severe thunderstorm warning for our area is for our friends in Berrien County in far southwest Michigan. And that is going to be for this storm heading onshore near the Stevensville area. And Bridgman, St. Joseph, I think the worst part of this storm is going to stay just to your south. But nonetheless, you're still seeing the rain pick up a little bit. Probably still hearing the thunder and seeing the lightning as the storm continues to move. Did they issue a new? Okay, never mind. That was an older chat message. Okay, that's just climate reports. Okay, we're good. So this is our only severe thunderstorm warning is Berrien County right now. Taking a look again at velocity as we get your scans in. I will say it's decreasing a little bit the signal as the storm continues to move on shore. That's for a couple of reasons. One is we're getting a lower level look as it moves towards the radar down in northern Indiana, near the North Webster, Indiana area. That's where the radar we're using for this storm is based. But as it continues to move on shore, we're still showing a signal for, at least on velocity, of 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. That's a few thousand feet up though. That does not mean it's still not reaching 50 to 60 miles an hour at the surface as this continues to move on shore. So Stevensville, Sodus, Bridgman, the Baroda area. You're probably seeing some fairly gusty winds right now, along with frequent lightning and the rain starting to pick up, maybe a little bit of hail as well, begin to pick up over the next few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and do another storm track on this particular storm, as we'll go more for the leading edge, since that's where the higher wind is going to be. It's going to be in the Berrien Springs area in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Eau Claire in the next 15, maybe 20 minutes max. The Pokagon area in the next 20 to 25 minutes. The Dowagiac area eventually in the next 25 minutes, maybe a half hour. But that Dowagiac and Pokagon, you're not in the warning yet. But if this storm holds together as it continues to move on shore, a warning may eventually be required for at least western portions of Cass County. We'll see how this storm holds together. The storm that was earlier near New Buffalo, this was this storm. Whoops, let me clear the storm track. This storm kind of weakened as it moved on shore. So hopefully we see that trend continue with this storm as it moves on shore. As it continues to move on shore as well. But we're also watching additional storms, not severe at this time, but the Allegan, Wayland area, you're probably hearing the heavy rainfall, seeing the lightning. Same goes for the Ganges area, Douglas, South Haven. You're seeing a heavy rainfall. Hastings, you're seeing stuff start to pick up. And then we're watching these storms off to our north as well. Near the Ludington area, we have a Special marine warning. We'll have to watch these storms as they move on shore as well. They could require a severe thunderstorm warning if they do hold together for the potential of mainly larger hail, I believe. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning near the Cadillac area. Music, you're getting hit pretty good with hail probably and heavy rain and maybe some gusty winds. In fact, that warning is up to ping pong ball size in diameter. In Wexford County. That is outside of our coverage area, but just something notable, and it's nearby. I'm going to mention it. And with the storm on its current trajectory, we may need to watch maybe northeastern portions of Clare County down the line. I think it might stay just to the north of there, but we'll have to watch that in the short term as well. I'm going to focus a little more on this storm near the Ludington area. Let me get to... I use Green Bay radar. That's quite the signal there on Green Bay. On the Green Bay radar, maybe some good hail in this storm as well. Northwest of Ludington. Correlation coefficient. We're seeing a little bit of a hail signal. I'm going to get hail tracker up. Definitely a good signal there. Northwest of Ludington. Once you get into these purples, that's generally mean hail is likely, and it could be on the larger size. So we'll have to watch that. We'll go over to the composite, take a look at a few other signals. Probability of severe hail is fairly elevated at around 60%. Estimated hail size is it's approaching 1 inch in diameter there. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on this storm over the next little bit as it moves off to the east. If that does hold its strength, a severe thunderstorm warning might be coming for down the line for Mason County, especially including the Ludington, Scottville, and Free Soil Township Fountain areas. In fact, let me switch back over to radar. I'm going to go ahead and do a storm track on this one as well. Let me get back to reflectivity for you. There we go. We're going to go ahead and do a storm track for this storm as well. As it moves off to the east at around 60 to 70 miles an hour, this storm's moving pretty quick. So free soil, we'll say in the next 25 minutes to a half hour, say it goes for the Fountain area. Let me zoom in and see if I can get a few more locations. The Hamlin Lake area, probably in the next 15 minutes or so. Give or take a few minutes, around 15 minutes, the Hamlin Lake area. We'll also have to watch the Ludington area as well in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and Scottville in the next 20 minutes or so. We'll have to watch as well for the potential of maybe some larger hail if this storm does hold together. But we are going to go back to our active severe thunderstorm warning in Berrien County. And I will say, as this storm is moving on shore, it's already not looking as impressive on reflectivity. So it looks like what's happening with these storms as they move on shore. As I mentioned, we do have surface-based instability, but there's also a capping inversion near the surface as well. And I think it's really limiting these storms that were previously maybe surface-based. They're kind of losing that oomph as they can't get the surface-based instability anymore. And they're kind of getting cut off a little bit. So they're getting cut off and they're weakening. So hopefully we'll continue to see this storm weaken. We can maybe cancel the severe thunderstorm warning a little bit earlier. We'll take a look at velocity again though. And I will say even the velocity signal, we're still seeing 30 to 40, maybe 45, but we're not seeing as intense of a signal as we were seeing earlier over the lake. So, and then speaking of the severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like they are adjusting it. Looks like they're going to continue it, though, for the next 20 minutes or so. They are just kind of adjusting the warning a little bit. So, if you're near the Free Oaks, the Galeen area, you're out of the severe thunderstorm warning. Buchanan, you're right on the edge of it, so I'd still consider you in it. Yeah, they're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning for the next 20 minutes or so until 2 a.m. for the potential of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. But as I'm saying, this storm appears to be on a weakening trend. So if that continues, I think we might be canceling this warning earlier. Besides that storm, if you're near, again, as I was mentioning, the Allegan, Hastings area, Orangeville, over towards Lake Odessa, you're probably seeing heavier rainfall, probably seeing lightning right now, but we're not seeing anything imminently concerning in terms of a severe threat with these storms. As I go to composite, get the proper product on there, just mainly sees a heavy rain and lightning threat at this time. Further to the north, we are watching another storm. Currently not severe. It's kind of flared up in the last few minutes, though, in the central portions of Clare County. Again, not severe at this point in time, but something we are going to be watching. This will probably track off to the east and be out of the county in the next few minutes as well. And then I think our main focus is really going to be this Ludington cell, just northwest of Ludington over Lake Michigan. It's still showing quite an impressive signal on the composite. This is a rather intense storm, probably producing some hail. And if this continues, a severe thunderstorm warning may be coming soon for Mason County. Let me go to a high, and then this storm, northwest of Cadillac, is looking quite intense. Near the Mesick and Manton areas, that's quite an intense storm. It's still warned up to ping pong balls, although the warning's going to expire. I suspect Gaylord will be extending that warning here shortly, because that's quite an intense storm there. Other than that, there's not really too much going on. Just some more convection in the Hart area. Not too concerned about severe at this time. Otherwise, just some showers and probably some rumbles of thunder heading into Newaygo County, Big Rapids area, and probably into Montcalm County as well with time. We're not too concerned about severe weather with this activity at this point in time, but we'll continue to watch it as well. So we're going to go back to our severe thunderstorm warning kind of work in order. So this storm continues to show a weakening trend. The reflectivity values continue to decrease. We'll take a look at velocity again, and we're not really seeing anything super impressive at this point. Still maybe some gusty winds over to Stevensville, Berrien Springs, Eau Claire areas, but we're not seeing anything too impressive. Let me go take a look. I think that's Indiana Michigan Power. I'm going to pull up their outage map. Just kind of curious if there was high winds at the surface. Zip code. Okay, we are showing nothing too out of hand in terms of power outages, but we are showing some isolated outages. In fact, I'll take the source here in just a minute. Just 1 second. I'm going to take the source over on our other computer, and we are showing some isolated outages. We are showing 40 customers out in the Stevensville area of there in Berrien County. Outside of that, we're not showing maybe some outages in the Niles area, but nothing too out of hand. The Stevensville area, we're seeing some isolated outages. Nothing terribly widespread, only 40 customers, but maybe some gusty winds, maybe some lightning or something like that, but just some isolated outages. Nothing too terrible right now. We'll kind of keep watching that behind the scenes, though. We'll go back to our radar, though, for right now. Let's go back to reflectivity. But overall, this storm's really starting to weaken, I think. We're not even showing really much in the way of lightning anymore. So this storm's, I think, on its way out. We'll keep an eye on it in the short term, though. We do continue with the severe thunderstorm warning with it, though. So Still be inside in Berrien County, especially Berrien Springs, Eau Claire, Stevensville, and Sodus. Just remain inside for the next few minutes while we watch the storm, what it wants to do. But I think we're going to go back up north and watch this storm. It's approaching the Ludington area over the next few minutes, especially areas just north of Ludington. That's still quite the intense storm with lots of lightning. We are seeing elevated signals, reflectivity signals as well, which means the storm could be producing some hail. We are looking a bit higher up in the storm from the Green Bay radar. I'll go ahead and do another storm slice though. Take my face cam off. As you see, this is also quite the intense storm. Going to approach 50 to maybe over 50,000 feet potentially. So this is quite an intense storm. Actually, almost approaching 60,000 feet maybe. This is quite the intense storm. The hail and heavy rainfall is being lofted to 30 to 40,000 feet. As you can see, the purples and pinks. So this is definitely an intense storm that's getting ready to move on shore. Or for the Ludington area. We'll go ahead and take that off. We're going to do another storm track on this storm. As if this continues on its current trajectory, continuing to move off to the east at around 60 to 65 miles per hour. Let me zoom in again. Hamlin Lake in the next 10 minutes. Same goes for Ludington. I think the worst may pass just north of Ludington. But Hamlin Lake in the next 10 to 15 minutes, free soil in the next 20 to 25 minutes or so, and the fountain area in the next 25 minutes to maybe a half hour or so. You'll want to pay attention to this storm as it's quickly moving on shore. I would not doubt if a severe thunderstorm warning does come out for this storm here shortly. I'm going to do hail tracker now, and we'll take a look at a couple other products behind the scenes as well. Hail tracker. Let me see, what was that from Northern Indiana? Berrien County, they have canceled the severe thunderstorm warning. They have canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for Berrien County. That is what I was kind of expecting. The storm has really weakened over the last few scans. It is no longer severe. So our main storm we are watching right now is approaching areas mainly probably just north of Ludington. But Ludington proper, you'll still want to pay attention as well. This will be moving into Mason County over the next few minutes. See, we're on the hail tracker here. We're still showing an elevated signal for large hail. I'm going to go to some of our other products here that we use for hail. Probability of severe hail is over 70%, so that's definitely up there. Maximum estimated hail size, again, this is an estimate. That's over 1 inch in diameter now, maybe approaching 1¼ inches in diameter. So I would not be surprised if we do get a severe thunderstorm warning here shortly for portions of Mason County. So we're going to go back to the Doppler radar. We're going to go back to reflectivity. So again, if you're near the Ludington area, the Amber area, Scottville, Custer, the Hamlin Lake area, it's starting to pick up. You're seeing the heavy rain and lightning. The Ludington State Park area especially. You're probably going to see the hail pick up in the next few minutes if this radar is any indication. Same goes for the Nordhaus Dunes Wilderness area. You're definitely in potential as well. Hamlin Lake, that's going to be heading east towards Sugar Grove, Free Soil Township, Fountain, eventually the Bachelor community, the Tallman community, Millerton. Not available on YouTube is saying here is Hastings is terrible thunder. I would not doubt that. I'm going to go to a different radar so I can try and get. However, we're not seeing anything super concerning on radar. In the Hastings area is mainly rain and thunder. I understand it's pretty loud, but we're not seeing anything imminently severe in the Hastings area. So rest assured, this is not, I mean, I know it's quite loud there, but nothing severe or imminently severe in the Hastings area. Same goes with this storm. Towards the Mulligan area, Nashville. I'll be heading towards Lansing in the next little bit. We're not seeing anything imminently severe. So just taking a look behind the scenes. Some products. I think our main focus right now is going to continue to be this storm. It's moving on shore near Ludington over the next few minutes. Just quite the signal of a hail producer. We're heading off of Lake Michigan near the Ludington area over the next few minutes. Taking a look behind the scenes. Yeah, so for the Gaylord radar, same thing. Still quite the signal of a strong cell potentially producing hail. Still no severe thunderstorm warning officially, or a special weather statement yet. I would not be surprised if that's coming here momentarily. But still, nonetheless, if you're near Hamlin Lake, Piney Ridge, or Ludington State Park area, you're probably entering the thick of this storm right now. Quite frequent lightning, some very, very heavy rainfall at the very least, and probably some hail as well. I'm taking a look at a camera behind the scenes. I do not have permission to show this on stream, but showing quite the light show in Cadillac with that severe thunderstorm. It's probably what you're seeing right now in Ludington, near Ludington. And in fact, there's our severe thunderstorm warning. That's kind of what I was expecting, is this severe thunderstorm warning for northern portions of Mason County. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail potential. This is going to go until 2:30 this morning for Mason County. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull the warning text behind the scenes as I turn my camera back on, just to show I'm still here. Alright, so the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northern portions of Mason County in west central Michigan. This warning goes until 2:30 a.m. At 1:49 a.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Ludington State Park, or 8 miles to the northwest of Ludington, moving off to the east at 60 miles per hour. So this storm's moving relatively quickly, 60 miles per hour. Hazard is 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Source is radar indicated. Impact hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include Ludington, Scottville, Fountain, the Free Soil area, Hamlin Lake, Ludington State Park, Custer, and the Walhalla area. If you're in these areas, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. So again, this is the cell we've been watching for the last little while, and it's still quite strong as it's heading on shore. I'm going to do a storm track, and then we'll take a look at some other products. I'm going to do from the strongest part of this storm. It is moving off to the east at around 60 miles an hour or so. Let me redo that. I want to adjust storm motion down to 60 miles per hour. That is going to take it towards the Free Soil area in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. Fountain in the next 20 minutes or so. The Saubel area, that is outside of our area, but into portions of, I believe that is Lake County. Yes, Lake County. So, Lake County, if this storm holds together, a warning may eventually be required as well. So, just a quick note there. We'll be watching it as it moves on shore. We'll go over to Hail Tracker And then we'll take a look at a few other products behind the scenes. We're going to pull up hail tracker. And we are still showing quite the signal of large hail potential north of the Ludington area. The scan's a little bit delayed, but still showing the potential for large hail. Actually, likely hail could be larger near the north of the Ludington area. That'll be moving towards free soil and fountain. I'm going to go over to composite and take a look at a few other products. This is our maximum estimated hail size. I will say it did tick down from just a few minutes ago, but we're still looking at the potential quarter-size hail. Moving on shore towards the Ludington State Park area and Hamlin Lake in the next couple of minutes, if not right now. So, and then we'll also take a look at our probability of severe hail. And that is still around 50 to 60%, maybe 65%. So definitely elevated potential for hail of this storm. So if you are in northern portions of Mason County as this storm tracks through, if you do have any reports of large hail, feel free to share those with us. You can submit those in chat. Let us know. You can also tag us on social media with pictures, or you can also submit those on our website at www.westmichiganweather.net/report. That's where you can submit those storm reports to us if you have them. Please submit. Please be safe while you're doing the storm reports. Don't put yourself out in the middle of a hailstorm just to get us a hailstone if you can't. If you can avoid it. I would rather you wait for the storm to pass, even if it melted a little bit. I'd rather have that than have you guys in danger try to get a hail report to us or any other reports like wind or wind damage. I don't want you guys putting yourselves in danger to get those reports to us. I'd rather have a damage report after the fact than have you guys put yourself in danger. So please be safe while you're doing. If you're doing a storm report to us, definitely want to be indoors as the storm moves on shore, as the storm continues to move on shore. Right over the Hamlin Lake area, over the Nordhaus Dunes Wilderness area, near the Ludington State Park. That's going to be moving towards free soil and fountain. What's we got a new special weather statement coming in? It looks like they're doing a special weather statement for Allegan. This is going to be for those of you in Allegan, Barry, Calhoun, Clinton, Eaton, Ingham, Ionia, Jackson, Kalamazoo, Kent, Ottawa, and Van Buren counties. So that's going to be areas along and south of I-96 roughly. They're issuing a special weather statement for the potential of strong winds are being mixed down to the surface with and without thunderstorms. Gusts of 50 miles an hour are expected through 6 a.m. and may cause damage and power outages. So we are seeing strong winds being mixed down to the surface even without thunderstorms along and south of I-96. And that is causing the potential for some power outages. I'm going to go take a look behind the scenes at the consumer's outage map. I'll be able to pop that in momentarily, actually. So yeah, we are showing some power outages around the Grand Rapids area. I'm going to go over to the other source really quick. Then we're going to go back to our severe thunderstorm warning. But this is the consumer's energy outage map. We are showing some power outages around the Grand Rapids area. That is due to those strong winds being mixed down to the surface. I'm going to take a look behind the scenes really quick. See what we got in terms of wind gusts. Give me just a second, guys, while I see what we have in terms of wind gusts. Alright, we're definitely seeing 40 to 50 mile an hour winds being observed. Like at Grand Rapids, at Grand Rapids Airport, this was at 1:42 this morning. Sustained winds of 32 miles an hour, gusting to 45. As I go back to radar, gusting to 45. At Sparta, I have winds at sustained at 24, gusting to 43. At Holland, I have winds sustained at 33 miles an hour, gusting to 41. And so it's mainly along and south of I-96. We're seeing winds mix down to the surface with or without thunderstorms. So just taking a look at some things behind the scenes. So this is one of those situations where it could be a wake low or something of that nature is mixing winds down to the surface, whether it's thunderstorming or not. So just be aware of that, especially in this blue shading along and south of I-96. We're going to go back to our severe thunderstorm warning up in Mason County. We continue with the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go back to reflectivity. For this storm moving through northern portions of Mason County, this warning does continue until... Okay, we do have a report now. This is just coming in from the This is coming in from the observation site at the Grand Rapids Airport. At 1:53, we do have a gust of 51 knots. That is 59 miles per hour. So we have gusts approaching 60 miles an hour now in the Grand Rapids area. This is without thunderstorms. This is a gust to 60 miles an hour nearly being reported in the Grand Rapids area with these storms. This is due to strong winds being mixed down without thunderstorms, with or without. So again, just wanted to let you know we have those reports coming in now from official observation stations. So it does say maintenance check indicator, so we'll have to see. We'll have to let the National Weather Service verify that. But gusts approaching 60 miles an hour in Kent County with that activity. But back to our severe thunderstorm warning. The strongest part of this storm is approaching the free soil area, approaching Fountain. It's east of Hamlin Lake, it's east of Piney Ridge, east of the Ludington State Park area. Sugar Grove, you're getting kind of grazed by this storm. You're seeing some heavy rain, maybe some smaller hail, and definitely frequent lightning. We're going to go back to our hail tracker on this storm. Actually, I still have the header up, so we'll do that. Get that pulled up. We're still showing an elevated signal for large hail north of the Ludington area, north of Scottville, heading towards the Fountain and Free Soil Township areas. So okay, so just taking a look at some things behind the scenes. We're going to go back to reflectivity. I'm going to check correlation coefficient. Not seeing too much there, but okay, so that's the convective outlook for a secondary round of storms later today. Okay, so we'll discuss that in a little bit. So, alright, let's go back to reflectivity on this. We're also going to be watching this storm near the Lake City area. I do think the strongest part is going to stay north, but I would not be surprised if northeastern Clare County does get clipped by this storm as well, also producing large hail. So, okay. Alright, so just taking a general reset of the situation. So we continue with severe thunderstorm warnings north of the US 10 corridor. This is primarily for hail. But if you're along and south of I-96, we are seeing some very gusty winds right now. This is outside of thunderstorms being mixed down to the surface. We've recently had an unconfirmed wind gust We're waiting for the National Weather Service to verify it, but a gust of 59 miles an hour potentially at the Grand Rapids Airport. So we got very strong winds, 50 to 60 miles an hour being mixed down along and south of I-96. With this shower and possible thunderstorm activity, we're not seeing too much in the way of lightning right now. But nonetheless, we're having some fairly strong winds behind being mixed down. I'm going to take a look behind the scenes. Just take a look behind the scenes. As an analysis. Just taking a look behind the scenes at some things. If I go silent, I'm still here. Just kind of. Tara from YouTube is saying, I live by the Grand Rapids Airport and it has me awake. A lot of wind and very strong. Thank you for that, Tara. Yeah, it's definitely quite windy there right now. And that will continue into the early, at least for the next few hours, into the early morning before quieting down. So. Alright, so otherwise we continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for now mainly northeastern portions of Mason County. All of Mason County, northern portions of Mason County is still in the warning, but this storm's moving relatively quickly off to the east and is now moving in the northeastern portions of the county. And I do suspect we may see a warning extended into portions of Lake County shortly. So for areas like Saubel, Peacock, Luther, we're keeping an eye on this storm, which is still showing the signal of some hail, in addition to frequent lightning and heavy rainfall and possibly gusty winds. This will move east in your area relatively quickly as well. I'll do another storm track on it. East at around 60 miles an hour. That's going to take it towards the Saubel area in the next 10 minutes or so. Fountain is right overhead right now. Peacock in the next 15 to 20 minutes. The Luther area in the next 25 to 30 minutes or so. We're also be watching the Tustin and Leroy areas in the next 35 to 40 minutes. That is outside of the severe thunderstorm warning into Osceola County along the US 131 corridor there. But just early heads up, if the storm does hold together and it's moving relatively quickly, warnings may eventually be required there, so just something to be aware of in the short term. I will say, at least from the Gaylord radar, it's not, well, it's still looking decent. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well for the next little bit. That is the only severe thunderstorm warning that we do have in effect right now, but we still got strong winds again. Along and south of I-96 being mixed down without thunderstorms. We got strong winds being mixed down to the surface there as well. In fact, power outages continue to increase on the Consumers Energy outage map in that around the Grand Rapids area. So, yeah, you'll definitely want to be inside there. I know it's probably keeping you guys awake there. Probably waking some people up with the intense wind. So, just taking a look behind the scenes. So, unfortunately, if you've noticed, we've been using surrounding radars tonight. Alright, I'm just passing along we got the LSR now. They are confirming the 59 mile an hour wind gusts recorded just a little bit ago at the Grand Rapids Airport observation site. They are confirming that wind gust at 1:50 a.m. That was a 59 mile per hour wind gust. Keep in mind, severe level wind gust is 58 miles an hour or greater. So definitely some intense winds along and south of I-96, even outside of these thunderstorms. So Just taking a look behind the scenes. Again, that wind will continue for the next few hours before subsiding. Continue moving off to the east. Before subsiding. So that'll be a heads up for areas like Lansing, St. John's, Mason, Hastings, Kalamazoo, Marshall, Jackson. Just some areas that are probably seeing some very gusty winds over the next few hours. So just taking a look at some things behind the scenes. Okay, so alright, so we are continuing with our severe thunderstorm warning. This is the only severe thunderstorm warning. Tara says, I live in a trailer. That makes sense. Oh, yep. Definitely living in a trailer. I've lived in a trailer for a while in my life, and that definitely does make sense. We got some more wind gust reports at 1:25 a.m. This is the Holland observation site, a 56-mile-an-hour wind gust. So this was at 1:25 this morning. A 56-mile-an-hour wind gust near Holland at the automated observation site there. So definitely it looks like roughly along the I-96 corridor we're seeing very intense winds that's even outside of thunderstorms at this point. So just something you definitely want to be aware of in the short term. It's very intense winds even without the thunderstorms. So just okay. But our main focus at this point is going to be our strong severe thunderstorm that's getting ready to move out of Mason County into Lake County. We are going to see in the next few minutes what the National Weather Service is going to do, whether they extend the severe thunderstorm warning as we in the portions of Lake County. The area forecast discussion. Okay, so just take a look at some things behind the scenes. So, still no indication on what the National Weather Service is going to do with this storm as it moves out of Mason County. So, but I will say we're still seeing some elevated reflectivity values there near the Fountain area. This storm's probably still producing some hail. We'll go to Hail Tracker. Still showing an elevated signal for hail over the Fountain area. Let's go over some of our other products behind the scenes. Probability of severe hail has come down a little bit, but still around 50%. Hail size still elevated, come down a bit under a quarter of an inch, but still definitely elevated there. Probably around penny size hail being indicated still with that storm. So we'll have to see what the National Weather Service decides to do with it in the next couple of minutes. Actually, you can kind of see what looks like what could be our culprit for the stronger winds is near Big Rapids area. You see how it's kind of curling there? That's probably our culprit for the stronger winds being observed along and south of I-96. Probably a meso low or something of that nature. So definitely interesting, but it's producing strong damaging winds along and south of I-96, even without much in the way of lightning being indicated right now. So we're going to see in the next couple minutes what the National Weather Service is going to do as the storm moves into Lake County. Take a look again at the consumer's outage map behind the scenes. Outages are still increasing now in the Ionia County, Cross Kent County, and the Berry County as well. We're seeing some outages. Definitely along and south of I-96 is where we're seeing that right now. It looks like two things. They are extending the severe thunderstorm warning into Lake County. That is what we were expecting. And also near the Irons area, 7 miles to the east of Irons. This was around midnight, so an earlier storm. But 7 miles to the east of Irons, we do have a public report of quarter-size hail. This is from an earlier storm. This is not associated with the current severe thunderstorm warning storm, but just goes to show these storms have had a history of producing large hail along and north of US 10. But to our current severe thunderstorm warning, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for northern portions of Lake County along and north of US 10. This goes until 3 a.m. for the potential 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. So I'm going to pull up the warning text from the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Lake County in west central Michigan until 3 a.m. this morning. At 2:12 a.m., the severe thunderstorm was located 8 miles to the south of Dublin, or 13 miles northwest of Baldwin, moving east at 60 miles per hour. Hazard is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Sources radar indicated impact hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Some locations impacted included the Luther area, Irons, again, another round of large hail potentially on the way, Bristol, Wolf Lake, and Sauble Lakes. If you're in these areas, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. So again, this is for another storm likely producing large hail across northern portions of Lake County. I'm going to do another storm track now for the strongest part of this storm as it continues to move off to the east at around 60 miles an hour. That's going to take it into the Peacock area in the next couple of minutes, 5 minutes or so. The Luther area in the next 15-20 minutes or so. And eventually the Tustin and Roy area, you're now under around a half hour or so with this storm. With the quick movement of this storm, I do think it might hold at least some of its strength. Will it be severe level will remain to be seen, but we'll definitely keep an eye on this storm over the next little bit. It's still showing potential for large hail. Speaking of large hail, I'm going to put on the hail tracker, vertical integrated liquid, and we're still showing a signal for large hail near the Sauble area, heading towards Peacock, eventually the Luther area as well. The scan's a little bit delayed, but over the Sauble area is where we're seeing a large hail right now. Indications. And I'll be heading into Peacock here in the next few minutes. I'm going to take a look at a few more products behind the scenes. Give me just 1 second. Probability of severe hail is still elevated, 50 to 60%. Estimated hail size still around nickel size in diameter, probably approaching quarters. So still a very strong storm nonetheless. Taking a look at our hail swath over the last 30 minutes, you could see we've had storm has had a history of large hail from just offshore of Ludington over Lake Michigan. As it's continuing to move east, it's continued to show indications of large hail. We got a new update just coming in. It's again same thing across the northern portions of Mason County, now heading into northern portions of Lake County. The potential for hail up to quarter size in diameter, if not slightly over at times. Like we had indications maybe approaching $half size north of Ludington, kind of east of the Hamlin Lake area, like in that region. So it'll be interesting if we see any reports from that. So let's go back to regular radar or single site radar. And again, the strongest part of this storm is heading through Salable, through Peacock. We'll be in Luther in the next little bit. And we'll be continuing to move off to the east. So we are continuing to see power outages increase in addition to this storm along and south of I-96 with our gusty winds. With these showers and thunderstorms. We've got very gusty winds ongoing with this activity as well. We are continuing to see power outages increase on the consumer's energy outage map. I will go ahead and take that source again in just a moment. Give me just 1 second. This is the consumer's energy outage map, and we are showing isolated to scattered power outages around the Grand Rapids area. Let me go county view with us. Maybe a load. Refresh the page real quick. So I'm going to go view county. We got outages in Allegan, Kent, Ionia, Clinton County, over towards Berry County, and Allegan County. We have some outages being reported. It's mainly isolated and maybe scattered, especially across Ottawa and Kent counties is where we're showing the most outages right now. But even Ionia and Clinton County, we're starting to see a few outages being reported. So that's something we're going to have to continue to watch. It's even outside of our severe thunderstorm warnings north of US 10. We got some very gusty winds being reported outside of that activity, especially along and south of the I-96 corridor. That is a cancellation of the marine warning. I'm going to go back to radar. And we'll go back to our severe thunderstorm. Peacock, you're in the thick of this storm right now. Seeing probably some hail up to quarter size in diameter, in addition to very heavy rainfall, frequent cloud to ground lightning, and probably some gusty winds as well. We'll take a look at velocity. This is higher up, over 7,000 feet, where we're seeing 60 to 70 mile per hour velocities being indicated. Whether that's being mixed down to the ground remains to be seen. I have not seen any reports of that. I'm taking a look at the consumer's map up there. If I go back to customer view, I'm going to need to go to another outage map source behind the scenes. They are allowing this, speaking of Mason County, they are allowing the severe thunderstorm warning for that region to expire as the storm has moved out of the warned area in Mason County. They are allowing that warning to expire. Taking a look behind the scenes, I am only one isolated outage in Mason County. Not seeing too many in the way of outages with this in this region, which is good news. That tells me winds may not necessarily be making it to the surface. Excuse me, but nonetheless, still very strong storm in the Lake County, mainly producing hail most likely, in addition to very frequent lightning and heavy rainfall. So, taking a look behind the scenes. Just taking a look at some things behind the scenes here. So Alright, so, okay, so I'm still here, guys, just taking a look at some things behind the scenes. We're going to go back to Doppler radar. So, and again, this is our severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Lake County. This warning over here will be coming off the screen in 7 minutes. That has been allowed to expire. It looks like we do have confirmation. This is outside of our area, but in Mesick in Wexford County, ping pong ball size hail, 1.5 inches in diameter. This is being reported by social media report of 1.5 to 2 inch hail in Mesick. Time estimated via radar. So that's quite large hail being produced with some of these storms. Up to ping pong ball, if not 2 inch hail being reported in the Mesick area in Wexford County. That's northwest of Cadillac. So definitely some intense storms across especially northern lower Michigan. Kathleen saying great live stream, very informative, thanks. Glad you thought this live stream is informative, Kathleen. I greatly appreciate that. That's what we try to do here, is try to keep people informed. So thank you for that. So again, this is we currently have severe thunderstorm warnings. If you are just tuning in here, just approaching 2:30 on this Tuesday morning, this is Jacob Melton live here of West Michigan Weather. We are continuing to watch strong to severe thunderstorms, along with high winds not associated with severe thunderstorms across parts of the area. We continue with severe thunderstorm warnings for northern portions of Lake County along and north of the US 10 corridor. We also have, technically for the next few minutes, a severe thunderstorm warning for Mason County. That warning is being allowed to expire as storms have moved out of the warned area. So that will be coming off the screen momentarily. We are also watching high winds especially along and south of I-96, not necessarily associated with thunderstorms. This is kind of due to what we believe to be a lake low or something of that nature moving through the area. So definitely an interesting situation there. But we have strong winds being mixed down to the surface along and south of I-96. I can confirm we've had a wind gust to 59 miles an hour around 1:50 this morning near at the Grand Rapids Airport, and a 56 mile an hour gust recorded at 1:25 a.m. near Holland, also from an automated observation site. So definitely some very strong winds being mixed to the surface along and south of I-96. This is producing power outages, as I'll be able to show you here momentarily on the Consumers Energy Outage map. I'm going to go ahead and take that after I see what's coming in from the National Weather Service. Okay, that's just the AFD from Northern Indiana. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take that source, go to Consumers, and we are showing power outages continuing to increase. Near and south of I-96, in Ionia County, we're starting to see some outages from the high winds. It's mainly near and south of the I-96 corridors where the highest winds are going to be. Okay, so we have a lot of outages being reported around the Grand Rapids area and into Ionia County, and even into Clinton County now we're starting to see some outages around the St. John's area. Some power outages there from the gusty winds. So we're going to go back to our severe thunderstorm warning. We'll go back to radar. Going back to this storm near the Peacock area heading into Luther in Lake County. That is where we continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for the next half hour or so for the potential 60 mile an hour wind gusts and quarter size hail. Some of these storms up here have had a history of producing quarter size hail. Around midnight in the Irons area in Lake County, we've had a report of quarter size hail. That was around midnight with an earlier severe thunderstorm. And it's quite possible that could be happening again with this storm as it moves off to the east. We're going to take a look at hail tracker now with this storm. As I pull that up, and still a signal for some larger hail. This scan's a little bit delayed. It has it over Peacock. It's probably in between Peacock and Luther right now. I'll put it somewhere in here. We can go to some of our other products though. Some of my other sources. Probability of severe hail, still around 50 to 60%. Estimated hail size is still elevated, around penny to maybe nickel size being indicated. And I'll do a hail swath over the last hour. As you can see, what started over Lake Michigan has continued to move off to the east across northern portions of Mason County and now in the northern portions of Lake County. And this is going to be a heads up for portions of Osceola County as well. This is still holding its strength so far, so I would not be surprised to see a severe thunderstorm warning eventually come down for Osceola County as well for the potential of quarter-sized hail, because these storms are moving relatively quickly. If I do a storm track, still moving to the east at around 60 miles an hour. That's going to put it in the Leroy area in the next 15 minutes. Same with Tustin in the next 14 to 15 minutes or so. The Highland area in the next 24-25 minutes or so. Marion in the next half hour or so. So again, that is for this severe thunderstorm, likely producing hail, strong and severe thunderstorm, potentially some gusty winds as well, although we have not seen too many indications to indicate strong winds are actually reaching the surface, but still the potential is there, so we want you to be aware of it. So, and then other than that, I'm just going to do a general reset. Let me go back to the proper display. So there's two areas where we're really watching right now. That is areas along and north of US 10 for severe hail, up to around or over quarter size in diameter. And then areas along and south of I-96, we're not really seeing severe thunderstorms there, but we are seeing high winds being mixed down to the surface, up to 50 to 60 miles an hour. And that is something we are continuing to watch behind the scenes as well. So we'll continue to watch that over the next little bit here. The latest observations I have at 2:15 Ionia Airport. This was around 15 minutes ago. Reported a gust of 44. I have Sparta at 2:15, still reporting gusts to around 43. 1:53 a.m. we had a 59 mile an hour gust at the Grand Rapids Airport. And at 1:53 we're still showing a 56 mile an hour wind gust at the Holland Airport. So still some very high winds potentially being mixed down along and south of I-96. So looks like we also had a 58 mile an hour wind gust in Allendale as well, and 52 on the west side of Grand Rapids, thanks to Bill Steffen. Just saw that come across as well. So a lot of 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, especially closer to the lakeshore and in the Grand Rapids area. So definitely some intense winds there. Helen is saying thunder, lightning, and hail, wind in Kaliva. Thank you for that. We appreciate that report. I would not doubt that. It's Manistee County, so there is severe thunderstorm warnings, in fact, in Manistee as well. That's technically just outside of our coverage area. We'll take a look at that as well. Definitely a stronger storm there. near the Manistee area, so I would not doubt that. So definitely some strong storms ongoing there. Thank you for that report again, Helen. We appreciate it. It's the ground truth that we appreciate tonight, I should say. Alright, so right now we only have one active severe thunderstorm warning that concerns our coverage area. That is in Lake County, northern portions of Lake County. We do expect, based on indications, we do think a warning is going to be extended, likely in the portions of Osceola County, probably in the northern portions, within the next few minutes. So taking a look at that, they are updating the severe thunderstorm warning to now mainly be for the Luther area. If you're in Peacock, you have been taken out of the severe thunderstorm warning. They are continuing it for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail until 3 a.m. But these storms have been moving relatively quickly, and we've been seeing these warnings either be allowed to expire or canceled early, just due to the speed of these storms. It's still moving, let me check, moving east at 50 miles an hour, so still relatively quickly. Came down a little bit from 60 miles an hour, but still moving pretty quick. And we're still seeing the intense signal of probably some hail near the Luther area. In fact, if we go to debris tracker, we're seeing that free body scattered spike signal come back again. I'm circling that with my mouse here near the Luther area. That is an indication of probably some larger hail. At least in the upper part of the storm where the scan's coming in, it's being reflected off the radar beam. It causes that effect on the radar scans. So it's either a large hail or a lot of hail. So near the Luther area especially, we're seeing the greatest hail potential. They'll be heading towards the Tustin and Roy areas in the next few minutes. And as this continues, I am leaning towards expecting a severe thunderstorm warning being issued for Osceola County. Just north of Clare County, near the Houghton Lake area, this is outside of our coverage area, just barely, but we're seeing another indication of some larger hail, at least on the reflectivity side of things, near the Houghton Lake area, just south of there, along US 127. So definitely some hail potential there as well. A lot of these storms up here is mainly hail potential at this point, especially near and north of US 10. It's mainly hail potential. And there is our severe thunderstorm warning for Osceola County. So that is a new severe thunderstorm warning now for Osceola County. This is going to go until 3:15 this morning. Again, for the potential 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Osceola County in central Michigan until 3:15 this morning. At 2:35 a.m., a severe thunderstorm warning a severe thunderstorm is located 6 miles east of Luther, or 14 miles southwest of Cadillac, moving east at 55 miles an hour. Primary hazard again continues to be 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Source on this is radar indicated. Impact is hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include the Evar area, Marion, Highland, the Roy area, Tustin, Sears, Sunrise Lake, Avondale, Rose Lake, the Dighton area, and Ashton. If you are in these areas I just called off, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building is, of course, the least regret. Again, this is for this storm right here, moving through the Luther area. It is coming into Osceola County over the next several minutes. We're going to do a velocity check, and we are showing some signs of maybe some higher winds in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range near the Luther area. Again, this is a few thousand feet up, so not all of that may be mixed down to the surface, but definitely a very strong storm nonetheless with hail potential. We are showing decibel values, dBz, in 60 to 65 range, approaching 70. So definitely a fairly intense storm nonetheless. We'll go ahead and I'm going to turn my camera off just for a second and do a slice of the storm, slice through the storm so you can see what's going on inside. And definitely intense storm there. Up to about 50, maybe up to around 50,000 feet. And we're showing the hail core, the strongest part of this storm. It looks a little bit goofy. That's a new scan coming in, being lofted to around 25,000 feet or so. Taking a slice through this storm. So definitely an intense storm nonetheless, likely producing some hail as it moves into Osceola County. Excuse me, just kind of clearing my voice. We do have a new mesoscale discussion that just came in from the Storm Prediction Center as well. Let me read that off. It says, isolated large hail threat will continue this morning. Several elevated supercells have developed this morning north of the Lorm Front across north central Michigan. These storms are being fueled by around 1,000 joules of most unstable CAPE. That's elevated instability within a zone of moderate deep layer shear. In addition, strong isentropic ascent is giving additional support despite the only modest instability. A broad zone of 60 to 65 knot low level jet around 1 kilometer, as sampled by vertical wind profiles from Chicago, Milwaukee, Northern Indiana, and Detroit Pontiac radars, is supporting the storms north of the front. As the low-level jet continues to weaken veer through the overnight hours, expect these storms to become less intense. 1 and 1.5 inch hail reports have been received thus far, and expect some isolated threat to remain for a bit longer. However, by 9 to 10 Z, expect any threat to mostly wane. So it sounds like, based on this MCD, we will continue with this threat at least for the next couple of hours. However, as we head towards 5, 6 o'clock, we do expect this to start to quiet down, if not a little bit sooner. And I will say this, once we get this storm out of our hair, we will have to watch this storm near Manistee, as it could clip some of the northern portions of these counties as well. However, once we get these storms out of here, this will probably be it for the most part, for at least this round of severe weather. We might have severe weather later today to contend with, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let me reset our warnings. There we go. So again, we do continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for Osceola County and Osceola and technically the northeastern portions of Lake County, although we expect the Lake County warning to be canceled here in the next few minutes, as this storm is now moving out of northeastern Lake County. Although we will have to watch this storm east of Manistee. It could clip the northeastern sections of Lake County as well, and then northern Osceola counties as well after this cell. So still a few more hours yet of storm potential, at least the next hour or two at most, that I think we could start to quiet things down, hopefully. And then south of there, we do continue. Although we're not seeing much in the way of severe thunderstorm activity, we are still seeing gusty wind activity with this. Near and south of I-96. This is due to some other mesoscale factors. We continue seeing gusts in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range being reported. Like at 215, I have 43 at Sparta. We have 38 at 215 mile per hour gusts, a 38 mile per hour gust at the Grand Rapids Airport. At 215, we continue with a 44 mile an hour gust at Ionia, 38 mile an hour gust so far at Lansing. And then I'm taking a look behind the scenes at the consumers map. I will say it is not going up. Still going up a little bit, but not as much. It's not skyrocketing like it was. So hopefully that might be weakening a little bit as it continues to move off to the east. But still heads up, along and south of I-96, gusty winds will continue for the next little bit, in addition to our severe thunderstorm warnings along and north of the US 10 corridor. Outside of that, we do have some additional storm activity off to our west near the Quad Cities in Iowa into Illinois, and even the portions of Wisconsin. None of this is necessarily severe, and it kind of looks like none of this is severe right now, but we'll have to watch if this moves east and holds together. It's just one of those things that where if we get too much morning convection, that could reduce our threat for later in the day. If we have too much in the way of morning convection that does not clear out, that is something we're going to have to watch throughout the morning as well for our threat later today. We do continue to be, I'll go ahead and show you real quick, we do remain in a slight risk for severe weather in our day 1 outlook. Let me go ahead and update to day 1. We do continue with a slight risk of severe weather across roughly the southern half of the West Michigan weather coverage area from Holland to Grand Rapids to Ithaca and Point South. This yellow shading is a slight risk of severe weather. The rest of the green shading here is a marginal risk of severe weather. We'll just review it real quick. Tornado risk still at a 2%, so tornado risk is not really a main risk for our later round. Damaging winds and large hail again are the main threats, but there is some potential for a tornado, and you see this hatching here. That means that tornado, if it does happen, does have the chance of being a little bit stronger, up to max intensity of maybe EF2 or so. Again, the tornado threat overall is still very low at 2 to 4% probability, but if that tornado does happen, it could be a little bit on the stronger side. Wind is still 15 to 29% probability. That's one of our main threats, 5 to 14% to the north. And we still carry a 15 to 29% large hail threat, and again the 5 to 14% to the north. Just wanted to overview that real quick. We're going to go back to radar, get our severe warnings back up. If you are in Lake County, I believe they allowed that to expire. They did not officially. That'll probably be allowed to expire or canceled in the next few minutes as that storm's out of Lake County. It is mainly in Osceola County at this point. Tustin and Roy is where the heaviest part of this storm is, with the potential hail. Highland, you're seeing heavier rainfall, maybe some hail. It looks like they did just cancel the Lake County warning. That has been canceled, so that is good news. So it looks like we just have Lake County, or Osceola County, excuse me. Been a long night here with our severe thunderstorm warning. Still for the potential 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. We're going to take a look at hail tracker really quick. Again, on this storm, I'll take a look at a few other products behind the scenes. Vertical integrated liquid. The scan's a little bit delayed, but still showing a large hail signal near the Tustin and Roy areas. Although I will say it might be ticking down just a touch. I want to wait for another scan just to confirm that, but it may be ticking down just a touch, which is what that MCD indicated would start to happen over the next few hours as the low-level jet kind of begins to weaken. The low-level jet, which is providing the shear for these storms to work with. As that starts to weaken, we might see things start to slow down a little bit. I'm going to go over to composite radar now and just take a look at a few other products. Probability of severe hail is starting to come down. That is around 50%. It's ticked down a little bit. Estimated hail size is ticked down a little bit too, up to around penny size being estimated. That's not necessarily it's falling at the surface, but it's an estimation. And We'll do a 60-minute hail swath. What started, actually I'll go a little bit longer, 120 minutes. What, okay, go back to 60. What started over Lake Michigan continued across northern portions of Mason County and the northern portions of Lake County, and is now moving into Osceola County, where hopefully we're starting to see it tick down a little bit. So nonetheless, it's still a stronger storm, and the latest scan does show some indications of hail near the Tustin area and Verroy, but it's not as intense as it was earlier. So hopefully we are starting to see things start to tick down a little bit. Hopefully. So that'll be welcome news. We'll go back to reflectivity though. I'll do another storm track on this. Track it off to the east. Track that off to the east at around 55 miles an hour. Let me zoom it in a little bit. Try and get a few locales. So the Marion area, it's going to be on your doorstep within the next few minutes. Around 10 minutes or so. Clare County Airport, it's going to be on your doorstep in about half an hour. Same with Harrison. Try to get a few more locales. The Rainbow Bend community in the next 23 minutes. The Leota community in the next 25 minutes. Buck Trails in the next 27 minutes. Again, the Clare County Airport about a half hour. Same with the Piney Woods and Harrison area. Cooperton also, and Long Lake Heights in the next half hour. And it's like some little community by the name of, why is showing Allendale? That's interesting. Okay. Some little community there, but again, so if you're in any of these areas I highlighted, into Clare County, we'll have to see how this storm trends. If it does continue on a weakening trend, we'll have to see if they extend the severe thunderstorm warning into Clare County. I'm not going to rule it out at this point, but I will say there may be some signs we're starting to tick down a little bit with this storm. But still, nonetheless, frequent lightning, heavy rainfall, and still some hail signs, even if it's starting to tick down a little bit. Outside of that, just a lot of heavy rainfall. I'm gonna, in fact, cross southern portions of Wexford County, so that's gonna be the Cadillac area. We are seeing some signs of thunderstorm training, which is storms moving over the same area. When we start seeing that, that's when we start to increase the localized flooding concerns. In fact, I can pull radar estimated rainfall. Give me just a second. Let me get storm total. Actually, I may let me do the composite version of that actually. Give me just a minute. We're going to find 12-hour rainfall. Oh, 3 hour. Okay, never mind. We'll just do the radar estimates. There's been a lot of rain across this area of central and northern lower Michigan over the last little while. Like near Mesick, we're seeing indications of up to 2 inches of rain. 1 to 2 inches of rain. Across north of US 10, we're seeing some indications again of 1 to 2 inches of rain, between a half inch and up to 1.5 inches of rain. So definitely a lot of rainfall over the last little bit. So a lot of rain, a lot of thunderstorm activity over the last little while. In addition to the strong to severe thunderstorm activity, we're still watching the high wind potential, especially along and south of I-96. I will say I have not seen the 50, 60 mile an hour winds we were seeing earlier in the last little bit. And power outages, they're still increasing, but they're not increasing as high as they were as it continues to move off to the east. Along the I-96 corridor of roughly is where we've been seeing the highest winds. Like at Lansing, okay, that was 215. this is outside our area, but Owasso area is reported a 38-mile-an-hour gusts. So really along the I-96 corridors where I've been seeing the highest winds with that activity. Power outages are still increasing. I think that's with the eastward extent and outside of really. So power outages are not increasing as high as it was earlier towards the Grand Rapids and Ionia areas. So I believe it would be Holland, Grand Rapids towards Ionias. I think is going to be our harder hit areas from that wind event. And that will be moving off to our east and will be out of our hair in the next little bit. Just looking at that behind the scenes. So we're going to go back to radar though. Zoom back in on our severe thunderstorm warning. And I will say our reflectivity presentation is not looking as impressive as it was earlier. So I'm starting to hear thunder here now in Gratiot County. A little bit of thunder. Let me reset to proper reflectivity. And again, some shower and storm activity there. Nothing. I'm not seeing any signs of anything urgently severe for those of you in Mount Pleasant, Stanton, White Cloud over towards Ithaca. If you're between US 10 and I-96, we're not seeing anything imminently severe. Just some thunder, rain, maybe some small hail, and some frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, if anything. Not really seeing anything imminently severe with this activity. And I do think we're going to be starting to slow down this round of severe weather over the next little while as our low-level jet continues to weaken, as the Storm Prediction Center highlighted in their mesoscale discussion. By 6 a.m. we'll be done with the severe weather for the most part with this round. Then we'll just have to focus on later activity, potential later today. So taking a look at hail tracker now again on this storm. The heaviest part of this storm is going to be the Highland Marion area, north of the Evar area. Now we'll be moving it towards the Harrison area over the next little while. I'm going to put the vertical integrated liquid on. We're still seeing some signal of hail, but it is definitely a lot. It is definitely scaling back from what it was earlier. If I animate this, actually, you can kind of see that trend. What started as a... Actually, let me slow that down a little bit. What started as a good signal for large hail in Mason County through Lake County, is kind of weakening through Lake County, I should say. Well, it's starting to weaken as we head into Osceola County. It's still some signal of hail, but not a terrible signal like we were seeing earlier. Not the screaming signal of larger hail. So hopefully that trend continues. We can get these storms to settle down to just some rainmakers. Some rain and noise makers with the thunder and lightning. With the thunder, I should say. But other than that, that is our only active severe thunderstorm warning, is Osceola County. That does continue for the next few minutes. For the next, I should say, 20 minutes or so, just under. So I've not seen anything new from the Weather Service. I will do one more storm track of this. We'll track it off to the east at around 55 miles an hour. Let me zoom in, get some more location. Try to get some more locations on here. It's going to be in the Temple community in the next 12 minutes. Buck Trails in the next 20 minutes or so. The Clare County Airport in the next 25 minutes. Same with Piney Woods. Harrison in 25 minutes or so as well. The Allendale community, there it is, just south of Harrison, the Allendale community. That is not the Allendale near the Grand Rapids area. But we also got the Long Lake Heights area in the next 25 minutes or so, 26 minutes. the Meredith area in the next half an hour, 35 minutes, and then I'll be heading into Gladwin County. Areas like Skeels, Podunk, and Oberlin in the next 35 to 40 minutes. I will say this storm, if it continues its weakening trend, I'm not sure if we get a severe thunderstorm warning into Clare County, but I just want you guys to be aware we do have more storms moving in over the next little while. I'm taking a look at this latest scan. Still some signals of hail there. It looks like it kind of might be a little bit better of a hail signal than earlier, so we'll have to continue watching that as it moves off to the east into Clare County over the next several minutes. Take a look at MERMS, our composite. Take a look at a few products there. Let me turn my camera back on now that I cleared the storm track. Kind of forgot to do that earlier. Oops, I'm still here, guys. What a probability of severe hail. Still there, not as high right now. Estimated hail size still around ½ inch or so. As that continues to move off to the east, so we pull up the Doppler radar though. If anything else, definitely some heavy lightning producers these storms have been all evening. They've been very noisy thunderstorms. So, okay. We're going to do composite. Let me put the proper reflectivity back on. And we'll just do a general reset of the situation across the area. Storms right now, for the most part, the strongest storms are near and north of US 10. That's where we've been seeing most of the severe thunderstorm warnings this evening. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning further south in Berrien County earlier as well for potential damaging winds, but that seemingly weakened as it came on shore. It went through without too much incident, at least that I'm aware of in Berrien County. I've not seen any reports from the National Weather Service. So, and we're still watching our gusty wind potential along and south of along I-96 for the most part. Looking behind the scenes, though, I have not seen the extreme wind gust reports that we were seeing earlier. We're still seeing a 44-mile-an-hour wind gust. This was at 235 in Ionia, but not necessarily the extreme wind gusts we were seeing earlier. Still 43 at Sparta, but not the extreme 50 to 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts we were seeing earlier. And power outages have not really ticked up much since either, so that is a good sign. I think that might have subsided just a little bit. Still some gusty winds, but not the intense wind like we were seeing earlier around the Grand Rapids and Ionia areas. So I do think we might be turning the corner, kind of slow this down a little bit. We'll still be here for a little while nonetheless as I take a look at that reflectivity signal. We'll have to see if they extend the severe thunderstorm warning in the Clare County. Ooh, I had those headphones on for a while. Ear kind of hurts. Good though. So, okay, so alright, taking a look at some other behind the scenes sources. Alright, that is outside of our coverage area, but towards the West Branch area, there's a new severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like, for the potential quarter-size hail. That is outside of our coverage area, but just in case we do have any viewers there, the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 3:30 outside of our coverage area, but just wanting to note that in case we do happen to have viewers there. Otherwise, our main focus in our coverage area is really going to be this storm heading out of Osceola County over the next few minutes into Clare County, we will have to see if they decide to carry over a severe thunderstorm warning. I will throw on Hail Tracker really quick. And I will say there's kind of still an elevated signal. Not the signal we were looking at earlier off to the west, but it did tick back up just a touch. Near the M115 and Highway 61 corridor. That's kind of what we're looking at there. That is where we're looking. Okay, looks like they are opting to extend our severe thunderstorm warning there into Clare County. So the Harrison area, you are in this new severe thunderstorm warning. Let me go back to reflectivity. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning coming down for our friends in Clare County. This warning will go until 3:45. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for Clare County until 3:45 for the potential, of 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. The National Weather Service, going to read off the warning text in Grand Rapids, has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Clare County in central Michigan. Again, this warning goes until 3:45. At 3:02, a severe thunderstorm was located near Marion, or 16 miles northeast of the Evar area, moving east at 55 miles an hour. Hazard continues to be 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Source is radar indicated. Impact: hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include Harrison, Springwood Lakes, Elbow Lake, Windover Lake, Lily Lake, Lake George, Temple, Cranberry Lake, Arnold Lake, Lawn Lake, Dock and Tom Lake, the Leota area, Dodge and Town Line, and Bailey Lake. If you are in any of the areas I just called out, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building in that sturdy structure. So again, we continue with the severe thunderstorm warnings along and north of the US 10 corridor. And that is for this storm, now tracking into Clare County. If you're in Osceola County, we do have another batch of storms moving in that could be carrying a little bit of a hail signal. I do not necessarily think it's severe. We'll go to Hail Tracker though and check. Not really seeing a severe hail signal there, but maybe some smaller hail into the Tustin area. Actually towards Highland as well. We're seeing a bit of hail signal near Cadillac as well. And then another stronger hail signal near Lake City, but I do think that should stay north of our coverage area. But our hail signal we're looking at, as I put the other header back on, is going to be right over the M115 corridor. That's going to be tracking off towards the east, towards Harrison. And I'll go back to reflectivity, and we're going to do a storm track. Helen says, great live stream, great live, thank you. Happy to help out with that. Happy to help out with this stream, Helen. Just trying to do the best we can here to get the people of West Michigan through these storms. We're going to track this off to the east again at around 55 miles an hour. Going to do so this is going to be zooming in Temple right now. You're right in the thick of this storm with likely some hail potential. This is going to be heading towards the Clare County Airport in the next 13 minutes, the Piney Woods community in the next 14 minutes, Harrison in the next 15 minutes or so. Same with the Allendale community in Clare County, also in 15 minutes. That's eventually going to take it out of Clare County into Gladwin County, but the Skeels area in 26 minutes, Podunk also in 26 minutes. And then eventually Gladwin, if we do have any viewers there, in the next half hour or so. And that is technically outside of our coverage area, but since it's a fringe area, we may still have a few viewers tuning in there, so we'll mention that nonetheless. Again, we still continue with our severe thunderstorm warning for the next few minutes for Osceola County as well. roughly the northern 2/3 of it along and north of US 10. We will have to see what they do with that in the next few minutes, just with storms overhead. We'll have to see if they extend that. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and zoom out, just do a general reset of our situation. So we are continuing to watch showers and thunderstorms, especially along and north of I-96, with the strongest storms so far along and north of US 10. That's where we've been seeing severe thunderstorm warnings. We are seeing some additional storms kind of flare up. I'm not concerned about anything severe with them yet, but kind of near in southern Nuevo County we're watching some activity flare up. I'm not immediately concerned about severe weather with that activity. Likely some more lightning and thunder near the Ashland, Nuevo areas over towards the Howard City, Pearson, and Sand Lake areas is where that's tracking. Some additional thunder and lightning activity with some showers near the Morley, Lakeview areas over towards Big Rapids, and also Mount Pleasant down towards Alma, towards Carson City. Just some thunder and lightning. I'm not seeing anything imminently severe with that, but we'll be watching that for the next little bit nonetheless. Otherwise, our only active severe thunderstorm warnings are along and north of US 10. Across Osceola and Clare counties, I do suspect they may be allowing the Osceola County warning to expire. We'll see, though, in the next couple of minutes. And what I am kind of concerned about in the short term, along and north of US 10, is we are starting to see some signs of thunderstorms. It's kind of congealing, and we'll start to see some thunderstorm trading. These storms are moving off to the east, and we're starting to see signs, at least for a brief period, of some storms moving over the same area, especially in the Osceola and Clare counties, and then up towards portions of Wexford, that's Wasaukie County, and Roscommon counties as well, the southern portions of those. We'll see storms kind of move over the same area. That might introduce some short-term flooding concerns if that does last long enough. In fact, we're starting to see some back building going on as well. That's not necessarily what we like to see. So, again, that's something we're going to have to watch in the short term. In addition to the hail potential, we're going to have to watch for maybe some localized flooding issues up there as well. We're not too concerned about that further south, but just something we're kind of watching. And then further south, where we've had the gusty wind potential, I'm taking a look behind the scenes. So far, winds have not been as intense as they were earlier, which is, of course, good news, but still 40 to 50 mile an hour winds possible near the I-96 corridor. Now we move in the southeast lower over the next little bit. So, okay, taking a look behind the scenes, I will say the power outages have not been increasing as much, which of course is good news. That tells me that's kind of weakened from its peak towards the Grand Rapids areas, really where it peaked, with 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts. So I will say this is kind of starting to become a big congealed mess. Not really as organized as it was earlier. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be producing hail. Still a lot of lightning and heavy rainfall. But it's not really as organized cells as we were seeing earlier up in this region. So hopefully we can kind of, as it kind of merges into this mess, that'll start to lower the hail threat a little bit. Taking a look at Hail Tracker, we're not seeing any big standout areas of large hail potential. Maybe a little bit still less of the Harrison area. It's a little bit elevated, but not as high as it was earlier. So hopefully we can get it to settle down. We can cancel these warnings and go from there. It's definitely decreasing. It's downtrending on the hail potential a little bit. We're still going to maintain the warning next for for a little bit at least. That'll be up to the weather service to decide that. But again, not really. This is kind of becoming a messy kind of deal now, which should hopefully begin to reduce our severe threat over the next little bit. But Harrison, nonetheless, you're entering the thick of it right now, and definitely in the heavy rainfall. Lots of lightning, maybe some hail still in there. Maybe not quite as large as it was earlier, but still some hail potential there. We're also seeing some additional hail potential across northern Osceola County, the Marion area. Speaking of that, they are expiring the severe thunderstorm warning for Osceola County. That leaves that's going to leave Clare County as our lone severe thunderstorm warning, and that will continue for the next half an hour or so. If this storm continues, if this continues its weakening trend, I would not rule out a cancellation of that a little bit earlier. We'll have to keep an eye on that over the next little bit. We're not going to go anywhere until that happens. So yeah, so this warning is going to fall off the board in the next few moments as this warning's been allowed to expire. It's still storming in northern Osceola County. It's not severe level activity at this point. Take a look at velocity just out of curiosity. We are still showing some elevated velocities. 40 to 50 mile an hour. Given this is a few thousand feet up. This is from the Gaylord radar. 40 to 50, maybe 60 mile an hour velocities. That's 5,000 feet up. And I have not seen too many signs of winds that strong mixing up at the surface. I'm not seeing a few isolated outages, but not really widespread enough for me to really say it's wind related. So probably lightning strikes or something of that nature. Nothing too serious there. Okay. So again, I do think this is starting to transition away from a large hail threat, probably towards more of a small hail, heavy rainfall threat with time. So the strongest part of our storm in the severe thunderstorm warning, again, is in the Harrison area right now. That's going to quickly move off to the east. It will be into Gladwin County and out of our coverage area probably in the next 10 to 20 minutes or so, I would say. We're going to go ahead and do composite, just do a general reset of the situation. And we do continue with severe thunderstorm warning again for Clare County. That is our lone severe thunderstorm warning in our coverage area. Outside of that, we continue with just south of US 10, just some general shower thunderstorm activity. We're not seeing any urgent signs of severe weather in this area. And then along I-96, we're still monitoring the gusty wind potential, which I do not think is as intense as it was earlier. Because towards the Grand Rapids earlier, just a couple hours ago, we were seeing wind gusts up to 50 to 60 miles an hour. We're not seeing that at this point. I'm mainly seeing 30, 45 mile an hour gust tops, especially near the I-96 corridor. So we're not seeing anything super concerning. Power outages, they're ticking up and they're not ticking as fast as they were. And that's mainly happening further east now, I think. More towards southeast lower Michigan, towards the Flint area. That's where I'm really seeing that. Okay, so just checking a lot of things behind the scenes. I will go ahead and show the consumer's energy outage map real quick. Then we're going to take another look at our Clare County storm. So I'm going to go over to our other source, take a look at the consumer's energy outage map. And as you can see, we have some isolated to scattered power outages, particularly around the Grand Rapids area. We're seeing a decent amount of outages. This is due to the high winds from earlier. And back towards Holland, we're seeing some outages. And Halligan County gets more isolated. And especially northwestern Berry County, we are seeing the outage towards Yankee Springs. And then that goes east into Ionia County. We're seeing a few outages, especially near the Lionsmere and Pewamo areas. That continues further east. St. John's, we're seeing a few outages. And then at that point, it continues east, really in the Shiawassee and Genesee counties. It's really where we're seeing things peak right now in terms of power outages. But even with eastward extent, they're not as widespread. They're kind of getting more isolated in nature. So I really think the peak of it was the Holland, Grand Rapids areas. Really where I think the peak of it was. We're going to go back to Doppler radar now, and we're going to take a look at our severe thunderstorm warning up in Clare County, and we'll go back to single site radar. And we're not really seeing an organized hail core anymore. What we're mainly seeing is just become a blobby mess of storms. Not really seeing an organized hail core like we were seeing earlier with these storms. It's just kind of becoming a not disorganized, but it's more messy in nature. Could be transitioning maybe towards a little bit more of a wind fret in the short term. That can tend to happen with these mergers, so we'll have to watch that for the short term. We are seeing velocities in Clare County of 40 to 50 miles an hour. That is several thousand feet up though, and I'm not seeing any immediate signs. Not saying it isn't happening, but we're not seeing too many signs of these winds being mixed down to the surface right now. Just taking a look at some sources behind the scenes, including the Consumer's Energy outage map. Put the proper header back on. Now, our hail tracker header has to be triggered manually as of right now, so sometimes we forget to click it off. That tends to happen sometimes. So we're going to go back to reflectivity. And again, just seeing generally at this point, I'm thinking this is mainly a heavy rainfall threat. Frequent lightning to be loud thunderstorms nonetheless. And maybe some gusty winds in the short term, but I'm not really seeing anything that pops out to me in terms of a hail threat. And if that trend continues, I do think we might be able to cancel this severe thunderstorm warning in Clare County. I'll throw the hail tracker back on really quickly just so we can see what that looks like. And I'm not really seeing an organized large hail signal at this point. I'm seeing a few areas that may signal some small hail, like near the Harrison and Hatton areas. The Marion area, we're seeing another little signal, maybe some small hail. But we're not seeing the organized large hail signals like we were seeing earlier tonight, I should say. I would say our most organized signals outside of our coverage area towards the West Branch, Standish areas east of there. That's where we're seeing the most organized signal, and even that's not as high as we were seeing earlier today. So hopefully we're kind of turning the corner, starting to turn on the severe weather threat, at least for this morning. We'll have to discuss later today with time as well. I'll go to composite, just take a general look. And then before we do go, I do want to discuss again our potential for later today. Okay. Let's see, outages are kind of ticking back up. I think it's southeast lower though. So. Take a look at that. Not really seeing anything behind the scenes in terms of. I do think it's southeast lower. Yep, it is. Okay. So, alright. Nothing from the Weather Service on our Clare County severe thunderstorm warning. That was just area forecast discussion for Northern Indiana office. Okay. So this is our main area of focus still, at least for the next 20 minutes or so. I mean, it might be canceled early. We will see. I will say the most organized storms, it's going to be the secondary batch, because our main storm that was warned is starting to leave the county. Leave Clare County, head into Gladwin County, and it's not quite looking as organized as it did earlier. We are monitoring our secondary complex of storms moving into Clare County now from Missaukee and Osceola counties. That is continuing to move off to the east as well. This one's still a little bit more on the organized side, but still not seeing the extreme signals for large hail we were seeing earlier. Maybe some small hail in addition to the heavy rainfall and frequent cloudy ground lightning, and we still cannot entirely rule out some gusty winds either. Taking a look at hail tracker, and we're not even really seeing the intense signals like we were seeing earlier. Maybe some small hail, if that, with this activity. So that is good news. We hope that trend holds. Okay, we'll go ahead and track this off to the east though. At around 55 miles an hour, and I'm going to zoom in so we can get our locales. Going to take it towards the Piney Woods at Clare County Airport for this part of the storm in the next 10 minutes or so. Same with Piney Woods, Harrison in the next 10 minutes. It's going to take it out of the county towards the Skeels, Podunk, and Oberlin areas in the next 20 to 25 minutes or so. And Gladwin still in the next half hour for that portion of the storm. You'll probably see it storming already, if not already very shortly with that storm. So starting to weaken. We're talking our secondary complex of storm, which still technically has a severe thunderstorm warning on it. However, we're not seeing anything extremely concerning with this storm at this point. So we're going to take a look at our velocity though, and we are seeing some, maybe a little bit of rotation. Let me take a look at storm relative. Maybe a tiny bit of rotation there. West of the Harrison area. We're not concerned about a tornado threat with this activity. Haven't really been concerned about a tornado threat tonight. With these storms for the most part being elevated in nature north of the warm front. So this is mainly a hail threat, if anything, maybe some gustier winds. Just something we've been looking at throughout the evening is these occasional areas of elevated mid-level rotation. Yeah, we're not seeing an imminent tornado threat or anything like that, but yeah, well, it's not really a tornado threat, so just some, maybe if anything, some gustier winds could happen under those, or it could be an area of some hail as well. But we're not seeing anything extremely concerning with these storms as they continue to move off to the east. So I would not rule out, if this trend continues, seeing this severe thunderstorm warning being canceled. We'll go ahead and go back to our composite, just do a general look of everything across West Michigan. And again, if you're just joining us this morning, it is just approaching 3:30 this morning. I'm Jacob Melton, live here with West Michigan Weather. We've been continuing to watch straw on the severe thunderstorm warning, straw on the severe thunderstorms all night here, since this morning, since later yesterday evening, technically, throughout the overnight hours, and It's alright. That's northern Indiana as well. Okay. It's a public information statement, but we've been watching these strong to severe thunderstorms. It has mainly been hail producers. Although we had some mesoscale factors come together just right to produce an area of high winds around the I-96 corridor, mainly around Grand Rapids, towards the Holland area, towards Ionia is where I really think it peaked. That is continuing east near the I-96 corridor and I-69 corridors towards Flint is really where I think it's peaking right now. The winds will continue to be elevated this morning, especially near and south of I-96, until around 5, 6 o'clock. It should tone down. It is not as high as it was earlier, although at 2:53 we do have 52 mile an hour gusts at Grand Rapids and a 50 mile an hour gust also at 2:53 at Lansing. So still some gusty winds. We also have a 50 mile an hour at Flint, also at 2:53. So the winds are still up there. We're still seeing power outages tick on up. Not extremely terrible. We're not looking at widespread outages, but definitely some isolated, scattered outages. In fact, I can go ahead and take our other source here. This is our power outage map courtesy of Consumers Energy, one of the main providers in our area of power. And as you can see, there's some isolated to scattered outages, particularly in and around the Grand Rapids area, up towards the Rockford area, then back towards the Allendale area. Hudsonville, there's a decent outage. And then back in the Barry, Allegan County, there's a few outages. That continues east towards towards Ionia County. We're seeing some outages, particularly around the Pewamo, Westphalia area. We're seeing some, and then that continues east into Clinton County, mainly around the St. John's area. We're seeing a few isolated outages, and then those continue east to southeast Lower Michigan along the I-69 corridor. So that's what we're looking at there. We're going to go back to radar though, and we do continue. The main reason we're still on the air here, we're still seeing a severe thunderstorm warning for the next 15 minutes for Clare County. I think they're keeping it in effect for this additional complex of storms because our storms at Gladwin County now, what they were initially warning for, is weakened quite a bit. I think they're keeping it in effect for this additional complex of storms, which is still showing some elevated reflectivity, not this very high reflectivity values. We're not in the whites like we were seeing earlier, but still some elevated reflectivity that could be producing probably some small hail heading into the Harrison area. And we have to keep an eye on these complex, little linear complexes as well. These are elevated storms, but they could still be producing some gusty winds as well. We'll go over to velocity, take a look at that. I'm not seeing anything horrible, but 30 to 40, maybe 45 mile per hour velocities. We got several updates coming in. That is a day-free slight risk as well. So we got a couple things to discuss here. After it is severe thunderstorm warning, including a severe threat later today as well. So a lot to talk about here. So okay, so this is still showing some gusty winds, not anything terrible, I don't think. I'm going back to the outage map, look up there. I'm not seeing any real indications of outages out there, so that tells me the winds are probably not necessarily mixing down to the surface. We'll take a look at hail tracker though real quick, see what that looks like. We are seeing maybe a little bit of elevated hail signal especially west of Harrison. It did tick up just a little bit in the last few minutes. Not a horrible signal, but maybe some small hail there. West of the Harrison area towards the Temple, Lake George areas. It's really mainly where we're looking at for that. Potential for smaller hail. And that matches with reflectivity decently as well. See, it's kind of purples, maybe some pinks right there. Just some signs of maybe some smaller hail as that continues to move off to the east. Once it moves east, once we get rid of this warning, this I would estimate would probably be it in terms of severe weather for at least for this morning for the West Michigan weather coverage area. Again, we'll discuss what's going on later today before I sign off here. But alright, we'll have to see what the National Weather Service decides to do in the next 10 minutes about our Clare County warning. That does expire at 3:45. If this is upticking, I could see possibly a short-term extension. But we'll see what they decide to do in the next few minutes, 10 minutes. Okay. So again, this is what we've been watching in around the Harrison area in Clare County. Just this secondary complex of storms, maybe upticking just a touch. I'll do a couple storm tracks on the strongest portions of these storms. This is moving east, still to the east around 55. That's going to take it quickly out of Clare County and the Gladwin County northern portions in the next few minutes. It's still the Buttman area in the next 15 minutes or so. And then for this portion, track that off to the east as well. That's going to take it into Harrison in the next few minutes, although it's already picking up there. And eventually towards the Scottish Hills Club and Gladwin areas in the next 20 to 30 minutes or so for this other stronger portion of this little complex of storms. But we will be seeing in the next few minutes what our friends at the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids is going to do about this, or whether Gaylord does extend the severe thunderstorm warning in the Gladwin County. I mean, that's out of our coverage area, but just something I'm interested in seeing here in the short term. But besides that, I do want to do composite. It looks like as I say that, they're issuing a special weather statement. The National Weather Service in Gaylord, they're going to issue a special weather statement for Gladwin County rather than a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential of hail up to penny size. Hopefully that's a clue of what's happening as it comes in. As for Clare County is in the next few minutes. But taking a look at general radar, what we have here is storms mainly north of I-96 and especially the strongest storms near and north of US 10. Still with a hail threat at least for the next couple of hours, although that should be beginning to wind down as these storms push off to the east. Besides that, we're just seeing thunder showers between the US 10 and I-96 corridor. We're not too concerned about severe weather with this activity in the Mount Pleasant area down towards Stanton. Now we're moving towards the Ithaca area in the next few minutes. Otherwise, just some gusty showers near and south of I-96 and I-69 corridors. We are watching some additional shower and storm activity off to our southwest, west and southwest across northern Illinois. And that is what we're going to be discussing here in the next. That is what we'll have to pay attention to for later today as well, as we do maintain another round of potential severe weather later today. I'm pulling up our severe weather outlook real quickly. We do continue with a slight risk of severe weather, particularly across our particularly near and south of I-96, is really where I think our main focus is going to be today. But the slight risk does extend up to a roughly Holland and Grand Rapids to, we'll say, Ithaca line. And points south is where the higher threat for severe weather will be today. It's where a slight risk is. Up to the north, we do have a marginal risk in place where there's still storm potential, but it'll probably be more limited as storms up there will generally be elevated in nature. Taking a look again at our tornado risk. Tornado risk is not very high today, but it's a non-zero risk too. This green shading is a 2 to 4% probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a given point. Let me actually turn our main header off just for a second so you can see that. But then we also have this hatching area that is tornado conditional intensity group 1. That means that if a tornado does form, albeit a very low probability, it could be a little bit stronger of a tornado with a reasonable max intensity, maybe into the EF2 range. Again, we're not saying that that's guaranteed, but if a tornado does spin up, there is at least some potential it could be a little bit of a stronger tornado, especially if we get something like prefrontal cells, which there's been some signs of in the model, some of the computer models we've been looking at. Of that potential happening, and if that does with the wind shear overhead, we will have to watch for that tornado potential, which is very conditional right now in my opinion. Let's go to wind, and wind probabilities is definitely one of our main concerns again, arguably higher than it was tonight, but again, this is in the yellow shading here is your 15% wind probability, or technically 15 to 29% probability for damaging wind gusts within 25 miles of a given point. And then your brown shading here is your 5%, or technically 5 to 14% probability. Hail follows the same general theme. Again, your yellow is your 15 to 29%. Your brown shading is 5 to 14% probabilities. We do also have an excessive rainfall concern. I guess it's going to fall under day 2. We do have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall across much of our area, especially south and east of Grand Rapids. So like the Lansing, Kalamazoo, Jackson, Coldwater areas around that. Generally in this green shading, bright green shading is your marginal risk of excessive rainfall. Meaning we're not expecting widespread flooding issues or anything like that, but some localized minor flooding issues like ponding of roadways. Maybe those creeks and streams might get a little elevated. That's kind of what we're looking for in that marginal risk of excessive rainfall. So we're going to take one more look at radar before I will say our hail signal might be picking up just a touch in Clare County, near the Harrison area, near Hatton. Just a touch. We're not. Take a look at hail tracker. Yeah, I do think we are upticking a little bit with the hail signal, so we will have to see what the National Weather Service decides to do in the next few minutes regarding the severe thunderstorm warnings. It's possible if it keeps upticking, we may see a short-term extension. I do know the National Weather Service in Gaylord went with a special weather statement for Gladwin County. I do want to also say it's kind of making maybe a bit of a turn to the southeast, not all that much, but just something we are watching. But the Harrison area, you're probably in the thick of this right now with the heavy rainfall, probably some hail, and definitely frequent cloud to ground lightning. Still no particular signs of winds mixing down to the surface, so that is good news at least. But yeah, we're definitely seeing a little uptick in hail potential, mainly into eastern portions of Clare County now, is where I think this is going. Southeast of Harrison now, towards probably just to the north of Hatton, mainly towards the little Allendale community, and then that's going to push east. maybe a touch southeast, probably towards the Gladwin area in relatively short order. So I could see a short fuse extension of a severe thunderstorm warning. We'll probably stick around, let this get out of the county regardless, just with those reflectivity signatures. It's starting to, I do think we're ramping up just a touch with this one. So we're going to do a slice of this storm. See what that looks like. It's definitely a stronger storm, with our hail being lofted to around 15 to 20,000 feet, looking at radar. Our storm itself is about 40 to 45,000 feet tall, so it's definitely a taller storm. We'll go echo tops to indicate that as well, and that matches up. Definitely 40 to 45,000 feet, as we just confirmed with our storm slice. This is echo tops. Let me get our reflect headers back up. There we go. So other than that, back towards the west, we're just seeing some heavier rainfall continue into portions of Osceola County. I'm not too concerned about severe weather with this activity, but just something we are looking at in the short term. Our warning is just about to expire, so I am not seeing anything from the National Weather Service, so we'll have to see what they do with us in the next few minutes. We'll probably stick around and let it get out of the county before we consider signing off. Okay, so alright, if I go silent, it looks like our warning has dropped off the screen. It is expired. So that technically just leaves a special weather statement in effect right now for our areas along and south of 96 due to the gusty wind potential, which I do think overall is starting to trend down. Alright, it looks like they are expiring the severe thunderstorm warning. The severe thunderstorm warning for Clare County will expire at 3:45. The storm which prompted the warning has weakened below severe limits and no longer poses an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning will be allowed to expire. However, small hail and gusty winds are still possible with this thunderstorm through 4:15. So, again, that is for this portion of the storm. It is not at severe limits, but still could be producing some small hail, maybe up to penny size, at least for 4:15. I will say, I'm going to take a look at hail tracker on it. I will say it's up there again, but the National Weather Service, at least at this point, feels it's below severe limits. And it's also still moving relatively quickly and will be out of Clare County probably in the next few minutes anyway. So we'll just stay on for the next few minutes just in case there is a short fuse warning issued. But this will be out of our hair probably around 4 o'clock at the latest, I would say, or 4:15 if we were to go with the weather service. But that is still showing a little bit of elevated hail signal to the southeast of Harrison. We'll say the Gladwin State Game area, if you're near there, you're probably seeing some hail towards the Camp Rotary area. If you're near East Man Siding Road, South Rogers Avenue, South Bailey Lake Avenue, if you're near the River Valley RV Park, Just a few areas it's probably seeing some elevated hail potential here over the next few minutes. But this will be on its way out of the county over the next couple of minutes. So we'll just stick here just for a couple more minutes, let this get out of Clare County. Then we're probably going to think about scaling back coverage for the short term. I'm just going to throw on composite, do one last overview of the situation while that takes place. And again, our strongest storms, really for the most part today, have been along and north of US 10. We did have a stronger storm sneak into portions of Berry County earlier, but do not think we had too much incident from that. And then we had a high wind event, so a quick mesoscale type event across portions of Kent, across portions of the Grand Rapids Metro, especially is where we've seen the highest winds towards Holland. Mainly the I-96 corridor really is where we saw the high wind event briefly. But even that is starting. It's not over yet, but I think it's ticked down from the worst it was earlier. We've been mainly seeing 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts be reported now, so that should continue to tick down throughout the rest of the morning. And we are going to continue to watch, as I mentioned, the additional severe weather threat. Probably after midday, and then that will be heading through the early to mid-evening hours before slowing down a bit overnight. So, alright, we're going to do one more look at our strong thunderstorm on its way out of Clare County. Once it clears the county, we will go ahead and sign off. But again, this is for just watching this last little bit of stronger storm activity in far eastern Clare County, heading towards Gladwin County. I just want this hail core just a few extra minutes to get out of the county, and then we'll probably scale it all back in terms of coverage for the short term. Okay. Alright, just take a look at a few more things behind the scenes. I'm going to take a look at velocity. I will say there could be a little bit of gusty winds going on as well. Gaylord radar is not looking horrible in terms of wind speeds. I was just taking a look behind the scenes at the Detroit radar. That is a little bit more elevated, but that is also looking higher. About 10,000 feet, about 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. This is a much lower view. About 5,000 feet. It is only around 20 to 30, so it's not just something interesting I noticed, but not overly concerned about it. And I think over the next couple of minutes we'll be clearing Clare County from our threat of severe weather over the next couple of minutes. So, alright, I do think the strongest part of this storm is now in the Gladwin County, and with that I do think we are going to scale back coverage. I will still be here behind the scenes just for the next little bit, probably at least the next half hour or so, just watching behind the scenes what these storms do. Still left over around the US 10 corridor. I do think the severe weather threat is much lower now with it, but we'll still be here just a little bit longer in case we do get a rogue severe thunderstorm warning in this area. Other than that, though, again, we will be having the potential for additional strong to severe thunderstorms later today, and we will have updates on that on our social media throughout the morning. And we will have updates here again on the live stream as needed later today, if conditions warrant. So thank you for sticking with me the last few hours throughout this overnight event. Again, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I can go get some rest and reset for later today. So thanks for tuning in with me here. Stay tuned to West Michigan weather. We will keep you updated as conditions warrant.